Shop the Sherwin-Williams Labor Day sale and get 35% off paints and stains August 22nd through September 4th. With prices starting at $31.84, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your interior or exterior, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store or shop the sale online. Delivery available on qualifying orders. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Lowe's knows that more projects mean more tools. For a limited time, new and existing MyLowe's Rewards credit card members can get 12-month special financing on purchases of $299 or more, in-store and online. Don't wait to get the things you need. Get special financing today. Lowe's. We help. You save. Now through August 27th, choose 12-month special financing on purchases of $299 or more. Offer subject to credit approval and cannot be combined. Minimum monthly payments required. See store at Lowe's.com for details.
Israel Defense Forces, IDF, has confirmed that the Middle East country soldiers carried out massive airstrikes on multiple locations in Yemen capital of Sanaa on Sunday, while Nasruddin Amer, the chairman of Yemen's Saba news agency and the vice president of the media authority of Ansar Allah Movement that has Houthis group as one of its organizations, said the air defenses were able to thwart the majority of the Israeli attacks and confronted several of its combat formations, which he said forced Israeli soldiers to retreat, with the Houthis fighters using locally manufactured air defense systems. According to Israel Defense Force, multiple military targets belonging to the Houthi terrorist regime in Sanaa, Yemen, including a military site in which the presidency palace is located, the Adar and Hazaz power plants, and a site for storing fuel, all used for the military activity of the Houthi regime. These strikes were carried out in response to repeated Houthi attacks on Israel with missiles and UAVs. The Houthis, backed by Iran, continue to exploit civilian infrastructure for terror purposes. News agencies reported that Israel launched the airstrikes in Yemen's capital Sanaa, hitting areas near the presidential complex and missile bases, with additional strikes reported in Hodeidah. It was gathered that Israel carried out the strikes in response to days of attempted Houthi drone and ballistic missile attack against Israel. Local media reported with a photograph showing the Israel Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, Defense Minister, Katz, and IDF Chief, Eyal Zamir at the Israeli Air Force Command Center in Tel Aviv, observing today's strikes on Yemen capital on a military facility near the presidential palace, a fuel depot, and 2 power stations. Israeli airstrikes hit Yemen's capital on Sunday, just days after the Houthi rebels fired a missile toward Israel that its military described as the first cluster bomb the rebels had fired at it since 2023. The rebels' Al Masirah satellite television reported a strike on an oil company, and video on social media showed a fireball erupting there. Nasruddin Amer, deputy head of Ansar Allah's, Houthis, media authority and chairman of Yemen's Saba news agency, said Yemeni air defenses intercepted most of the Israeli air raids, forcing several formations to withdraw. He stressed that Yemen's military operations in support of Gaza will continue until the aggression ends and the blockade is lifted. Amer dismissed Israel's targeting of a civilian fuel station in Sanaa as an act of barbarism and bankruptcy, with no impact on military capabilities, warning it will only trigger further escalation. In quotes, he said, "Targeting a civilian fuel station on a main street will have no impact on military operations. Thanks to God, the air defenses were able to thwart the majority of the Zionist aggression and confront several of its combat formations, forcing them to retreat, using locally manufactured air defense systems. Our military operations in support of Gaza will not cease, God willing, except with the cessation of the aggression and the lifting of the siege on it. Targeting a civilian fuel station on a main street will certainly have no impact on the military operations. Rather, it reveals the brutality and bankruptcy of the Israeli enemy and will bring upon itself further escalation. The Yemeni people will not back down from their faithful and humanitarian stance in support of Gaza." Assam Yahya al-Mutawakkil, the official spokesperson for the Yemeni oil company, in a video reposted by Houthi deputy media spokesperson, Nasruddin Amer, while Assam was seen in front of what he said to be the affected oil company model station on 60th Street, saying, "The targeted station after extinguishing the fire in it. The fuel consumed by the enemy's aircraft to reach Yemen and target the fuel station is more than the amount of fuel that was inside the tanks of the targeted station." It would be recalled that the Houthi attacks over the last 2 years since Israel began a retaliatory war in Gaza after Hamas attacked more than 1,000 people in southern Israel on October 7, 2023 have affected largely shipping in the Red Sea, through which about $1 trillion of goods passes each year. Between November 2023 to December 2024, the Houthis targeted more than 100 ships with missiles and drones. The rebels stopped their attacks during a brief ceasefire in the Gaza Strip and later became the target of a weeks-long airstrike campaign ordered by President Donald Trump of the United States. In May, the United States announced a deal with the Houthis to end the airstrikes in return for an end to shipping attacks, although the rebel group said the agreement did not include halting attacks on targets it believed were aligned with Israel. Also this year May, Israeli airstrikes hit the Sanaa airport in a rare daytime attack that destroyed the terminal and left craters in its runway. At least 6 passenger planes were hit, including 3 belonging to Yemeni Airways, according to airport authorities.
Lowe's knows that no matter your paint project, saving is at the top of your list. That's why when you shop today, you can buy one, get one free. Select Valspar and HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams. One coat coverage interior paints via rebate. Shop these deals in-store or online today at Lowe's. We help, you save. Selection varies by location while supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details. Offer valid 8/21 through 9/3.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.
A young man from Delta State in the oil-rich Niger Delta region in Nigeria has been arrested after he conspired with his friend to fake a kidnapping to get money from his family in order to be able to travel abroad. The young man was seen in a video the alleged kidnapper sent to his family, threatened to be killed with a cutlass placed on his neck by the suspected fake kidnapper, who is also a native and indigene of Delta State but faked his voice to sound like an Hausa Fulani man from northern Nigeria. According to one of the popular human rights activists against insecurity in the West Africa country, Harrison Gwamnashu, the 2 suspects were arrested inside the bush after intelligence gathering indicated that the kidnapping was not genuine, adding that they were not mobilized by Senator Ned Munir Nwoko, the senator representing Delta North Senatorial Zone, who had said in a press statement that the father of the supposed victim, together with 2 members of the Idemuje Ugboko community, reached out to me. I also spoke with the victim's brothers, as well as the police in Isale, Uku and Saba. In addition, I contacted and mobilized the Idemuje Ugboko vigilante group and held discussions with my police contacts in Saba, giving clear instructions to track the kidnappers and ensure the safe rescue of the victim. Throughout the operation, I received tracking updates and was kept informed of the rescue movements from Saba to Isale, Uku until the eventual arrests were made. In an earlier post, Harrison Gwamnashu had said that, for clarity, I do not know who he claims he mobilized for a rescue mission. I also do not know what he meant by saying he mobilized the police and local vigilantes. I personally fueled 3 vehicles, paid other logistics for the operation he's claiming he mobilized. According to the popular human rights and life defender, Harrison Gwamnashu, on Sunday the 16th of August 2025, an alarm was raised that a man had been kidnapped at Onitsha Ugbo, Aniocha North local government area, Delta State. Immediately, the police special anti-kidnapping and cyber crime unit Saba, led by the OC, swung into action, working tirelessly with a team of military officers from 63 Brigade Saba, the Nigeria Forest Security Service, NFSS, and Delta State government house trackers, advanced to Isale Uku to rescue the alleged victim. After hours of coordinated intelligence gathering, it was discovered that the incident was not a genuine abduction but a case of self-kidnapping. The location was secured, and the 2 suspects behind the act were arrested and are now in custody. We sincerely thank the officers and men of the 63 Brigade Saba, the OC and officers of the Special Anti-Kidnapping and Cyber Crime Unit and the NFSS for their resilience, sacrifice, and dedication to keeping our communities safe. Special appreciation also goes to His Excellency Right Honorable Sheriff Oberevwori, Executive Governor of Delta State, for standing firmly behind security operations. As we commend these gallant men and women, we must also stress the need for greater support. The security teams involved in this operation need stronger logistics, equipment, and resources to sustain their work and extend their coverage across Delta State. With such support, we can replicate this success statewide and ensure no community is left vulnerable. Finally, never for any reason refuse to report a suspected case of kidnapping. Every report matters, Harrison Gwamnishu stated. In a statement on Saturday, Senator Ned Munir Nwoko said, "I recently received a distress call from a parent whose son was said to have been kidnapped, with a viral video showing him in the forest of Antioch North. I immediately mobilized the police and local vigilante for rescue, only for investigations to reveal that the young man staged his own kidnap. This is a reckless and criminal act, alien to the values of our people in Delta North, and it must not be allowed to take root. Staged kidnappings traumatize families, waste vital security resources, erode public trust, and trivialize the suffering of genuine victims. I therefore urge security agencies to ensure the culprits face the full weight of the law, to send a clear message that such deceit has no place in our society. As Senator representing Delta North, I remain committed to safeguarding our communities, supporting security agencies, and ensuring that peace and trust prevail among our people." Shortly after the senator issued the statement, Harrison Gwamnishu responded and said, "Please, if you have time, kindly visit Senator Ned's comments section and leave a message." For clarity, I do not know who he claims he mobilized for a rescue mission. I also do not know what he meant by saying he mobilized the police and local vigilantes. I personally fueled 3 vehicles, paid other logistics for the operation he's claiming he mobilized. The truth is simple, we went for the operation on our own working with the victim's family. Senator Prince Ned Nwoko neither sent us nor mobilized us in any way. I have to put the record straight because some members of our team are already feeling that I was paid by Ned and chose not to extend anything to them. For the sake of truth and to protect the morale of our selfless members who risk their lives daily, I humbly plead that he should reissue his press statement. This will prevent any form of discouragement among the men and women who sacrifice so much without expecting personal gain. To be clear, none of us was mobilized for this rescue mission. And if indeed he claims he did, then he should kindly present the evidence. Those who were directly involved in this successful operation include officers from the Police Special Anti-Kidnapping Squad Saba, soldiers from the 63 Brigade Saba, a tracker from Government House Saba, operatives from Nigeria Forest Security Service, NFSS, and my humble self and 2 anonymous fellows who choose to hide their identity. We remain committed to saving lives, not chasing headlines. I urge all stakeholders, leaders, and well-meaning Deltans to continue supporting the work we do. Together, we can make our communities safer for everyone. I remember pleading with the well-to-do in our communities to empower their local vigilante. The time is no longer tomorrow. The time is now. Call home, stand with them, and assist them. Our vigilantes need every support they can get to overpower what lies ahead. At this very moment, there are more than 5 different teams of armed kidnappers operating within Antioch Oshimili. This is not hearsay. It is based on the number of persons kidnapped in different locations. Shockingly, one of these gangs operating around Otulu, Isele Azagba, is even led by a woman, yes, a woman. The man who escaped 2 days ago can testify to this. Do not be deceived. Just because your community has not yet been attacked does not mean you are safe. Your town might already be marked as their ransom collection point. Please, guard your communities. Nobody will protect your home better than you. We remain out here, doing our best to help, but this fight requires all of us. Stand up now before it becomes too late, Harrison Gwamnashu reacted. The senator, Ned Nwoko, quickly reissued a statement and said that, "My attention has been drawn to certain comments questioning my earlier statement regarding the recent kidnapping incident. What I wrote and posted was exactly what happened. When there are critical issues like kidnapping and I am contacted by those directly affected, I take whatever steps I consider necessary to ensure the matter is resolved safely. It is not unusual for different agencies, groups, and individuals to be working on the same issue at the same time, sometimes without even being aware of each other's involvement. That was precisely the case here. In this case, the father of the supposed victim, together with 2 members of the Idemuje Ugboko community, reached out to me. I also spoke with the victim's brothers, as well as the police in Isele Luku and Saba. In addition, I contacted and mobilized the Idemuje Ugboko vigilante group and held discussions with my police contacts in Saba, giving clear instructions to track the kidnappers and ensure the safe rescue of the victim. Throughout the operation, I received tracking updates and was kept informed of the rescue movements from Saba to Isele Luku until the eventual arrests were made. I acknowledge and appreciate the efforts of others who were involved at different points, including Harrison Gwamnashu, the military, the police, and every operative who contributed to the successful resolution of this unfortunate saga. Kidnapping is a serious crime, and my only concern is always to ensure that lives are saved and communities are safer. Harrison Gwamnashu, in a statement that seems to accept the senator's clarification, said, "Thank you, distinguished Senator Prince Ned Nwoko, for your clarification and for openly acknowledging the work we do. Your recognition means a lot to us and strengthens our resolve to keep serving our people selflessly. We remain committed to this cause. Thank you once again."
Post Security Executive Governor today, during the Security Council meeting, highlighted on the efforts of the Delta State government in bringing development and some level of tranquility to the people and progress. He highlighted on all the developmental projects that have been done, the roads, the infrastructure, and the empowerment programs. And he also emphasized on the efforts that is going to be put into the Ember months before December, before 2026, so that people know that the Delta State government in bringing development and some level of tranquility to the people and progress. He highlighted on all the developmental projects that have been done, the roads, the infrastructure, and the empowerment programs. And he also emphasized on the efforts that is going to be put into the Ember months before December, before 2026, so that people know that Delta State is safe. People can come back home and come and celebrate with their families, and security will be assured, and all the efforts of the government are put in place in line with the security.
Today call for the ransom. Speaker made and hear you. Okay. Alhaji, I never bring up on the money bar. I will kill him for your brother here. I say here at my place, here at Sambisa. If I don't bring up for the money, I will kill him for your brother. All right. Good evening. Good morning. Sorry. I posted something yesterday about self-kidnapping. You know, people taking advantage of the situation in town to kidnap, to fake their kidnapping to make money. All right. So the case we have been working on since on Sunday. All right. It turned out to be a fake kidnapping. Left everything they are doing because they want to come and rescue somebody that was kidnapped. They tracked you down, every of your conversation. They prepare to get you, and now it's all false. It's not good.
I'm sorry for the speech. And I don't know that it will lead to this extent. I thought it was just something that they can just do for me and alone. Just travel, maybe come back and apologize. I've never had this kind of person, but just the frustration was much on me. My father can't tell.
I don't want to hear kidnapping in Delta State again. The government said they don't want anything kidnapping, and now you carry yourself, carry this police. Now you carry yourself, carry give army. Now you carry yourself, give foresters. They will cause swallow you with that now. Eh? We talked today, I even posted today on my page. I said, anybody where they fake kidnapping, they go treat where they treat kidnappers, the real one. Abi? I posted this evening, not about before I even came to this time. I read it. As if I knew is your own case is fake kidnapping. It's very wrong, you know. So
now my village person.
Where are you from?
Where are you from?
I'm from Uboko, sir.
From Uboko?
Yes, sir.
Uboko person?
Yes, sir.
Chuka, is he from Uboko?
Your performer is Uboko?
Yes, sir.
Foresters!
Secure the nation forest!
Foresters!
Secure the nation forest!
So this one I warning to everybody. So wanna be careful. Nobody should come and fake kidnapping for Delta State. Because we will catch you. You don't go hide anywhere. Anywhere we enter, we'll catch you. Because then the kidnapping happen for our state. Let me say we can't the fake kidnapping anywhere. If they catch you, they go treat you as they treat kidnappers. I mean a lie? That's how it will be. So I beg, come on your hand for back things. Not only kidnapping, both armed robbery. As they come out from Okitina, they attack us for road. They block road. But you know, all of them clear. Now for instance, they run out. So special thanks to Delta State Commissioner of Police, CP Abani Wanda. Special thanks to the Nigerian Army, Sister Brigade. Special thanks to the anti-kidnapping squad. And special thanks to foresters. Foresters!
Secure the nation forest!
This one's now going to pay for their crime. Alright, so I want to thank the Sister Brigade for the assistance, the anti-kidnapping team, Delta State Police Command, the foresters, and also the local vigilante for their assistance. Alright, and also tracker from Delta State Government House, Saba. It's been confirmed as the case we have been working on since on Sunday. It's a case of self-kidnapping. So yeah, so we're currently at Iseluku. This is Iseluku. Yeah.
Posters who are connected, bringing you the news in a more digital way.
Anambra State Governor, Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo has dismissed 8 members of the state special vigilante group known as Aganekemba after the sacked security operatives were seen in a now viral video allegedly assaulting a female National Youth Service Corps, NYSC member, Jennifer Elabor, to the level of complete nakedness after they torn her clothes and continued assaulting her even when they observed during the process nothing more was covering any part of her body. This, the dismissed vigilantes did after they allegedly chased some young men on motorcycles they claimed were members of a secret cult to the victim's compound at Oba community in Idemili South local government area of Anambra State on July 23, 2025. According to the state television station, Anambra Broadcasting Service, ABS, the Anambra State government, through the Aganekemba Security Command, has dismissed 8 of her operatives for their involvement in the brutal assault and public stripping of a corps member, Miss Jennifer Elabor. The dismissed operatives will be handed over to the police for immediate prosecution. Speaking at the agency headquarters in Awka, the Special Advisor to Governor Chukwuma Soludo on Community Security, Mr. Kenemikai, said the state government acted swiftly after receiving reports that the operatives, while in pursuit of suspected cultists on July 23, 2025 assaulted corps members, an action which he described as totally outside the mandate of the agency and utterly condemnable. Mr. Amikai stressed that the Soludo administration will not tolerate any form of unprofessionalism, brutality, or abuse of office by security operatives, assuring that any officer found guilty of misconduct will face immediate dismissal and prosecution. He disclosed that despite pleas from the victim's family and NYSC officials not to prolong prosecution for damaging the identity of the people involved, the Anambra state government insisted on full investigation and accountability to serve as deterrence. The special advisor further revealed that the agency has already settled all medical bills of the corps member, replaced damaged valuables such as laptops and phones, and tendered a public apology to the victim, her family, NYSC, and the general public. Mr. Amikai reiterated the government's resolve to reform community security operations in the state, emphasizing that Governor Soludo's administration is committed to upholding professionalism, accountability, and respect for human rights in all security engagements. He assured that the incident will be used as a turning point to strengthen discipline and restore public trust in the Aganekemba outfit. Meanwhile, the Anambra State Police Command has condemned in strong terms the alleged assault on a female member of the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, in Oba, Idemili South local government area of the state. The assault was reportedly carried out by vigilante operatives. Following the incident, the suspects involved have been identified. The command, however, notes that the alleged victim's unavailability has temporarily stalled the ongoing investigative process. Meanwhile, the command has reiterated that assault in any form remains a criminal offense under the Nigerian law and reserves the right to take necessary legal action to aid the court proceedings while waiting for the victim. The command hereby reassures corps members serving across the state of its unwavering commitment to their protection, urging them to always report incidents of harassment, intimidation, or abuse for prompt intervention. The command further cautions vigilante groups and other quasi-security outfits against acts of brutality or abuse of authority, warning that any such misconduct will not be condoned. SP Tochukwu Akenga, Police Public Relations Officer, Anambra State Police Command, stated this in a press release issued on the 19th of August 2025. Omiyele Sawore, founder of Sahara Reporters, in a statement said, "I strongly condemn the brutalization of a youth corps by the governor, Charles Chukwuma Soludo's Aganekemba vigilante group in Oba, Anambra State. This barbaric act is unacceptable and must not be swept under the carpet. Even when the individuals responsible for this violence have been identified and apprehended, they must also be brought to trial immediately through an impartial judicial process. Our National Youth Service Corps youth corps members are serving Nigeria. They must never be subjected to intimidation as was done to Ashie Rita, humiliation, or sexual violence as seen in the horrific Anambra vigilante video. Vigilante groups cannot be allowed to operate above the law or brutalize innocent citizens with impunity." Punch newspaper had reported that the Anambra state government has condemned the assault on a National Youth Service Corps member, Jennifer Elabor, by members of the state security outfit. This is just as it said those responsible have been identified, arrested and detained. Punch Online reports in a video that went viral on Tuesday, the operatives armed with guns stormed the corps members' lodge, accused them of being internet fraudsters despite showing their identification cards and uniforms. The operatives were seen beating the female corps member despite her cries for help. In the process, her clothes were torn, leaving her exposed. Despite this, the operatives in number continued to beat the female corps member. In the video, the corps member was seen begging the security operatives to stop as they continued to hit her. The attack has, however, triggered outrage on social media, with many Nigerians condemning the actions of the vigilante group and demanding justice for the victim. Appearing on Channels Television's The Morning Brief on Tuesday, Special Advisor to Governor Chukwuma Soludo on Community Security, Ken Amikai, described the incident as unfortunate and unacceptable. He confirmed that the operatives involved in the assault had been arrested and are currently under investigation. According to Amikai, the incident occurred during a joint security operation when operatives of Aganekemba, the state security outfit established under the Anambra State Homeland Security Law 2025, pursued suspected cultists into a residential compound. He explained that the operation was part of Operation Udo Kachi, a code name for joint task force operations involving the police, army, Department of State Services, civil defense, and the state's security outfit. The operatives were on the trail of some suspected cultists riding on motorcycles when they pursued them into a compound. In the process of searching the houses in line with their mandate, the unfortunate incident involving the corps member occurred. While they were acting within the law, their conduct in that instance was unacceptable, he said. He stated that the government wasted no time in addressing the matter once it was reported. Immediately the incident happened, we arrested the operatives involved and placed them in detention. Our practice is to first carry out preliminary investigations, bring in the victims and complainants, and then determine whether the matter warrants internal disciplinary action or prosecution, he stated. Amikai disclosed that the assaulted corps member was invited to his office alongside NYSC officials, where he personally listened to their account of the incident. Our conclusion is that while the operatives were on a legitimate assignment, the manner in which they acted was not acceptable. We have made that very clear, and disciplinary measures are being taken, he added. Amikai also clarified the distinction between Operation Udokachi and Agbinekemba, noting that the former is a joint security operation involving multiple agencies, while the latter is the state's statutory security outfit created by law. He assured residents of Anambra that Governor Charles Soludo's administration will not condone any abuse of power by security agents, particularly against innocent citizens. Reacting, NYSC in a statement on Wednesday said, the management of the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, is saddened by the unfortunate assault on one of its female corps member by some operatives of the Anambra State Vigilante Group in Oba, Idemili South LGA of Anambra State. Management strongly condemns the unacceptable and dehumanizing manner in which the operatives conducted their operations, irrespective of their initial justification for the purported investigation they set out to carry out at the facility where the corps members were accommodated. While appreciating the concern of the general public over this horrific incident, as well as the initial measures taken by the Anambra state government, management wishes to assure the general public that it believes in, and supports the ongoing investigation by the Nigeria police force towards unraveling what transpired. This we trust will help get justice for the corps member in question and any other aggrieved party. Furthermore, necessary administrative procedures are underway to assist the corps member in question in managing the physiological and psychological trauma resulting from this unfortunate incident. Management wishes to use this medium to restate its strong commitment to the welfare and security of corps members nationwide. Nigeria is ours. Nigeria we serve. Thank you, Caroline Embu, Acting Director, Information and Public Relations stated.
In further demonstration of our openness and our readiness to be fair to everybody, we are going to take them now, with or without the girl and members of our family. We are going to take them to the police and hand them over to the police. That is what we are about doing now, and this is the essence of bringing them out so that everybody will see them. We are not shading anybody, because some people have been insinuating, somebody is trying to sweep this under the carpet. In further demonstration that is not what we are doing. There is no scapegoats in what we are doing. And the governor of Anambra said, Mr. Governor, is not interested. He has not sent us out to molest anybody.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.
Comfort Emanson Bob, the 26-year-old female passenger that was recently seen on viral video allegedly attacked and provoked to action, has said that she sustained injuries in her private part when a yet-to-be-identified Ibom Air staff pulled off her shirt and exposed her nakedness at Lagos Airport. This, according to Comfort, the shirt torn while she was being carried out from the aircraft was her inner wear that was pinned together below her private part, saying, the Ibom Air hostess had allegedly broke her phone, necklace and forcefully removed her wig hair from her head, which caused her a severe sharp pain, and as a result of the pain, she hit the air hostess on the cheek, adding, she became more aggressive when she saw the airport staff video recording her nakedness while she was battling to cover her body as a result of her shirt that was torn with her chest sexual organs completely exposed. Comfort Emanson gave her own side of the story in an 11-minute video she posted on her Instagram profile on Sunday, August 17, 2025, which was exactly after 1 week the incident occurred. She said she was the one who begged the co-passenger to help switch off her phone when the plane was about to take off at Uyo Airport, contrary to the narratives painted by IBOM Air management that she refused to switch off her phone and a co-passenger on board the plane forcefully took the phone from her and switched it off, and thereafter, Comfort Emanson engaged the co-passenger and other staff of the airline in a long war of words the IBOM Air management referred to as tirade. Details of her statement as transcribed and presented by Channels Television reads verbatim below. Comfort Emanson, an air passenger embroiled in a controversial IBOM Air incident, has given a detailed account of the events on board the flight that led to her arrest, arraignment, and eventual discharge by a Lagos court. In a video shared on her Instagram page on Sunday, Emanson expressed gratitude to supporters who stood by her during what she described as a traumatic ordeal. Narrating her version of events, the real estate consultant recalled that on August 10, 2025, she boarded a flight from Uyo to Lagos. She alleged that a disagreement began when a flight attendant, identified as Juliana, insisted she switched off her phone rather than place it in flight mode. According to her, one of her two phones had a faulty power button. I showed her the phone and told her the power button was bad. She said I could still switch it off through the settings. With the help of a fellow passenger, I eventually managed to switch off both phones, she explained. When we landed in Lagos, everybody was getting out of the aircraft. I went to pee. Coming outside, everybody had already left. I had to rush, carry my stuff and move to rush out of the aircraft. Going out of the aircraft, this lady, Juliana, stopped me and I asked her, "Why did you stop me? Why are you stopping me from going out of the aircraft? Everybody has left, so I need to go out." She didn't say anything to me. She stared at me with a bad eye. I picked up my phone and started recording. That was when she pushed me back inside the aircraft, dragged my wig frontal, tore my clothes and broke my necklace. The pain was unbearable. They dragged me outside. My body was out there, and then they videoed me in the process. My body was out. I was looking for where to cover it. All of them, the surroundings like videos, cameras everywhere. I was surprised because I never expected that, like tearing my clothes and videoing everything. My body outside, my naked body outside, plus the pain. No, it was so much for one person to bear. I started asking him, "Why would you do that to me? Why would you do this to me, and still like video me again and still put it out there?" she recounted. Emanson said she reacted out of anger after being assaulted, insisting she did not provoke the attendant. "God knows I would never poke an elderly woman old enough to be my mother. It was the pain she inflicted on me, dragging my wig and stripping me in public, that made me react." The incident quickly spiraled as security officers intervened. Videos that later surfaced online showed Emanson being dragged off the aircraft with her clothes torn, sparking outrage and ridicule. "They tore my clothes, exposed my body, and people were taking videos. I felt humiliated. The trauma is so much on me because I cannot even go out freely anymore because my body is out there. Some people even turned it into stickers," she lamented. Shortly after her 11-minute-long video, Emerson, in a follow-up statement on her Instagram story, decried the spread of what she described as false narratives. "There have been lots of narratives being pushed about the incident, even by respected individuals, some claiming my suffering was political. These are all false. I have received constant victimization and libel. I only wish for redemption and to regain whatever dignity I have left as a woman," she wrote. Acknowledging her reactions on board, she added, "I've flown with IBOM Air for years and never experienced this. Whatever happened after I was dragged down from the plane came from a place of pain. My swimsuit was clipped below my privates and torn. Imagine the pain as a woman. I would never lay hands on someone old enough to be my mother if she hadn't assaulted me first. I apologize about my behavior. I am not crazy, neither am I wayward. I have never been in such a situation in my life, and I don't wish it on my enemy," she wrote. We have reported that the federal government of Nigeria under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has ordered the Commissioner of Police in charge of Lagos Airport to withdraw the one-sided and obviously biased court case the Nigeria police force may have wrongly instituted against an Ibom Air passenger, Comfort Emanson, who was seen in viral videos retaliating and defending herself physically after a group of Ibom Air personnel and Lagos Airport team had attacked her and provoked her to action. The FG position on the issue was made known by the Nigeria Minister of Aviation, Festus Keyamo, in a press release the minister signed and made available few minutes ago. Although Festus Keyamo reversed himself and acknowledged that the issue was a case of confrontation between the 26-year-old passenger and the staff of Ibom Airlines, who in the new press release admitted that the staff of Ibom Air and the Lagos Airport Authority team acted wrongly, but the minister did not state how the attacked passenger would be compensated, most especially when her chest sexual organs were seen to be deliberately exposed after a suspected Ibom Airlines staff pulled off and tore the passenger shirt with obvious intention to expose the passenger's nakedness. The action of the federal government may ease the tension among millions of people who have accused the Nigeria police force of aiding and abetting the Ibom airline company to continue to attack and oppress the offended passenger, Comfort Bob, who is also identified as Comfort Emanson, by thus supporting the statement of Ibom Air Management, who in their first press release made statement that seems to have some level of deliberate falsehood and raising up a dead issue to win undue public sentiments, manipulate the Nigeria police force to help them secure detention holding charge from the Lagos State Magistrate Court to further oppress and intimidate the attacked passenger, specifically Ibom Air stated in her first press release that, shortly after the plane landed at Lagos Airport, the passenger waited for every other passenger on board the plane to disembark, and thereafter, without provocation, went to one of the plane hostesses, Juliana Edward. The Ibom Air Management described as purser, stepped on her, forcibly tore off her wig, removed her glasses and threw it to the floor, and used her footwear to assault her. She slapped her several times, and when the other cabin crew member tried to intervene, she slapped her too. She then attempted to forcibly remove a fire extinguisher to use as a weapon, an act that could have damaged and grounded the aircraft. Soon after the Ibom Air Management released the statement on Monday, a video surfaced on the internet that probably invalidated the statement of the Ibom Air Management and stood out as an acceptable evidence that the management of Ibom Air are people who may be rightly described as pathological liars who probably believed in telling lies as a way of managing crisis and handling difficult customers' relations. As seen in the viral video that surfaced the internet after the apparent falsehood of Ibom Air Management, the attacked passenger was seen politely telling the air hostess, Juliana Edward, to leave the doorway so that she can disembark from the plane. The seemingly aggressor in this matter, the air hostess Juliana Edward, refused to yield to the appeal of the passenger, and Ibom Air Management in their first press release confirmed that the air hostess, Juliana Edward, deliberately blocked the doorway to prevent the passenger from disembarking the aircraft, and in the viral video, the attached wig hair on the head of the air hostess was still seen on her head and intact while the passenger was telling her to leave the doorway so that she can pass. Obviously, this is in contrary to the seemingly deliberate falsehood painted and stated in black and white by the Ibom Air Management that the air hostess' attached wig hair was destroyed by the passenger without provocation. Also, the attached wig hair on the passenger head and the jacket she was putting on were still intact as at the time she was telling the apparent aggressor, the air hostess, to leave the door. And another viral video later showed both the air hostess and the passenger dragging at the point of the plane divider cotton, and at this time, as seen in the video, both the passenger and air hostess wig hair were pulled off, including the passenger jacket she was putting on to cover her body completely. The natural hair on their heads could now be seen as they continued to drag each other at the plane doorway, and Ibom Air Management, in trying to seemingly win undue public sentiments, raised up a dead issue of a minor quarrel the passenger had with the air hostess and co-passenger over the passenger alleged initial refusal to switch off her phone during the plane takeoff at Uyo Airport. The IBOM Air management in the press release confirmed that the minor quarrel the passenger had with the air hostess and co-passenger over switching off phone at Uyo Airport was already a dead issue, and the action of the passenger never led to threat of aviation safety or violation of aviation safety procedures. Hence, the passenger was not deplaned at Uyo Airport. But we don't know why the management of IBOM Air decided to advertise and bring up the minor quarrel as a way to seemingly win public sentiments to cover up the true picture of a separate event that occurred between the passenger and the air hostess when the plane landed at Lagos Airport. And the Nigeria police force in the 5-count charges filed against the passenger at the Ikeja Magistrate Court in Lagos State did not state or even mention the event that occurred at Uyo Airport before the plane took off. We had reported that the Nigeria Aviation Minister, Festus Keyamo, says the ministry has directed for the aviation staff who released the video footage containing the aspect of an IBOM Airlines passenger, Comfort Emanson or Bob, seen in an indecent appearance with her chest sexual organs exposed after the passenger shirt was torn by an IBOM Airlines staff, while security operatives were seen in the viral video dragging the aggrieved passenger out of the aircraft following an act of confrontation between the passenger and IBOM Airlines hostesses, which one of the hostesses blocked the right of way of the passenger and prevented the passenger from disembarking from the plane. And after countless warning to the airline passenger to leave the road, the passenger went physical with the hostess by allegedly slapping her on the face, which the confrontation with the hostess apparently led to the alleged destruction of the plane divider cotton, which IBOM Airlines valued at $2,500 as stated in count 5 of the 5-count charges the police filed against the passenger at Ikeja Magistrate Court in Lagos State. We had reported that a careful study of the viral video involving the IBOM airline personnel, Lagos Airport security operatives and an aggrieved passenger, Comfort Emanson, on board the airline plane on Sunday indicated that while the enraged passenger was being dragged off the plane by 3 men, who held her 2 hands and legs, suspending her a little bit on the air, a lady putting on IBOM Air corporate clothes who was behind the camera lens could be seen in the video to have approached the passenger at the door point of the plane while the passenger was about to be taken out, apparently dipped her hand towards the waist part of the passenger, untucked the passenger shirt from the trousers, grabbed and pulled the passenger's shirt towards her head, and in the process, the passenger shirt got torn and the passenger's chest sexual organs or private parts were completely exposed. The action of the IBOM airline staff appeared to be deliberate, as the airline female staff was not part of those dragging the passenger off the aircraft, and after the female passenger's body was exposed, the IBOM Airlines female staff never joined or assisted the security operatives to drag the passenger off the plane. This indicated that the motive of the female staff of IBOM Airline was solely to remove the passenger shirt and expose the aggrieved airline passenger to ridicule.
Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching me from. I want to come out fully to appreciate God Almighty and everyone that stood by me, that fought for me when I was in prison. When I came out, the love I saw, the support I saw from you people, I was never expecting it. I mean, for a commoner like me, you guys fought for me, you guys stood by me. I want to appreciate you all. I said that God Almighty will bless you. So on the 10th of August, on Sunday, I boarded a flight from Uyo to Lagos. So when we were inside the aircraft, the normal procedure happened. The lady Juliana was telling everybody from the front, from the front seats, coming to the back because I was at the back. So she came to me. She said she came to me. So while she came to when she was coming forward, so she came and I was struggling to put my phone. I was putting my phone on flight mode. So she said no, that I have to put it off. So I told her that one of my phones, because I was with 2 phones, one of my phones is for a fault. The phone is bad. The power button is bad, precisely. So I showed her that the power button is bad. So she said I can put off my phone without the power button. I said okay. So she said I should go to my settings. So while she was telling me go to your settings and all that, I went to my settings. So she said go to your general. So while trying to do that, the pressure from her, so the man that was sitting on my right now helped me and off one of the phone, put one of the phone off while we are struggling on the other one that has the power button is still. So she said I should go to the my general. I went to the general, I went to the settings and the general. So when I told her, okay, please, before then I told her, please, can you assist me and spell general? She said she cannot touch my phone. She can never touch my phone, children of nowadays. So I now turned to the guy that helped me to off one of my phone. I told him, please, can you assist me and spell general? So the guy now collected my phone and showed me and spelled, like, type general on this thing. So when I went to her, like, okay, this is the general, I am here now. So the phrase that she was even giving me was not even encouraging. I had to, like, plead with the same guy again on my right. So please, can you please, like, do you know how to, like, she said, do you know how to, like, help me and off it from here, please? He now said, okay, no problem. He helped me and off the phone eventually. So now off the phone, the two phones, put it where it's supposed to be on the aircraft. And I thought, okay, I have offed my phone. So when she wanted to leave, she said, you will see. I didn't take that to heart because I've already, like, eventually offed my phone, which I was having problem in offing it. So I eventually off the phone. So that was it. When we landed Lagos, everybody was going out of the aircraft. I was pressed. I went to pee. So going to the toilet, somebody was already inside the toilet, and I had to wait for the person to come out. So when the person eventually came out, I went inside and pee and rushly come out. I cannot stay inside the aircraft, inside the toilet, because it's so small and so uncomfortable to be in there. So I now rushed, like, pee and packed myself again and come outside. So coming outside, everybody already left. I had to rush, carry my stuffs and move to rush out of the aircraft. So going out of the aircraft, this lady Juliana stopped me. And I asked her, why did you stop me? Why are you stopping me from going out of the aircraft? Everybody has left, so I need to go out. She didn't say anything to me. She was just, like, staring at me with the same bad eye. And that was when I, like, now, like, remember that this is the same person that, you know, was instructing me to put on my phone. I eventually did. So she said, she didn't say anything. No, she didn't say anything. She just, like, she was just staring at me there with the bad eye. So that was when I, you know, on my phone, like, put the phone, started recording. That was when she backed facing the front and backing me. So I was just like, please, madam, leave the road, let me pass. She didn't answer me. She ignored me. And after the video, I picked the phone. When I picked the phone, that was when she noticed I was videoing her. So she now pushed me inside the aircraft back, dragged my frontal. This is the frontal I wore that day. She dragged the frontal, dragged the process of dragging my clothes, my gold from neck I was wearing. This is the gold I was wearing. She dragged it from my neck with the clothes. The process, like, my phone, everything went down and broke. The phone broke. The phone broke. Everything, like, even this phone. See. So I was like, no, why did you do that? Why did you break my phone, like, drag my frontal? The pain of removing my frontal, you know how frontal can be when you install it here and then it's forcibly dragged out. It's so painful. So the pain of doing that to me, that was when I went to poke her. God knows that I can never go and poke an elderly woman, somebody that's old enough to be my mom. Poke her for what? Poke her. It was the pain she inflicted on me, the frontal pain, dragging my gold and everything on the floor. That was the anger. I was so angry. I could not even, like, hold it. That was why I was asking her, why did you do that on the video, the trending video they posted? Why did you do that? Why did you do that? I asked her, why did you do? Because you dragging my frontal wig and, like, dragging me, calling me a prostitute at the process. No, I just had to ask her, why did you do that? Why did you do that? That was why I poked her on the video. Why did you do that? So while on that, the whole thing, like, those guys came in from the came inside the aircraft and like started like surrounding me, and I was like, why? Now dragged me outside. That was when they dragging me from the. You saw how they dragged me from the video. That was what happened. Like, they came inside, dragged me outside, and then at the process, she now like dragged my clothes, and the clothes, it was pin on me because it was pin. I thought that was my inner. It was pin on me. The pain of dragging it and its pain, it's wounded me inside. That the pain and everything, the frontal pain, this other pain. I was just trying to like help myself when they dragging me out of the, trying to cover myself. My body was out there, and then they were videoing at the process. My body was out. I was even looking for a way to cover it. Some of them were like trying to like touch me, and I was trying to cover myself, defending myself. Like I was the only one there, and they were like surrounding me, trying to cover myself while they were trying to do video. All of them, they surrounded like videos, cameras everywhere. I was surprised because like I never expected that, like tearing my clothes and videoing everything, videoing me, my body outside, my naked body outside, plus the pain. No, it was so much for one person to play. It was so much on me. I could not like hold myself again. I was just like very angry. Started like asking them, why would you do that to me? Why would you do this to me? And still like video me again and still put it out there. Like the trauma, like it's too much on me right now, because right as I'm talking to you like now, I cannot like even go out again because my body is out there. People already know that this is the person. They know me. I cannot even like go out again. I'm ashamed to like go out because my body is out there. Some people have even used it to make sticker. So that was what happened inside the aircraft before the incident that I booked her. She already like inflicted pains on me, which I could not bear it. So right now I don't know how I will just start from looking for work, going for a work interview. I'm into real estate. Imagine me going to sell a house or advertise a house or try to bring a client to buy a house now, and they are looking at my body. How do I even face them knowing that my body is out there? How do I face the whole, like everybody that saw that video, knowing that my body is out? How do I even like go for business? Imagine me going for business and somebody's looking all on my unborn kids coming to see that, or a man that will marry me saying that my reputation. No, Jesus. That is why, the reason why I have not come out to say the part of the story is because I was still on treatment. I'm trying to round up my treatment. As you can see, like I'm trying to round up my treatment. That's why I could not come out to say the part of the story, what happened. So that was what happened inside that flight. It wasn't even like a big deal. I never expected that incident, offing her phone, which I was trying to, not like when she said I should off the phone, I was like telling her no. I told her why the phone was still on, that it was because of the power button. So I never like know that it would come out like this, seeing my body outside. People are even making mockery of me, sending me Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook. My body is out there. So I don't know how I'll go from here, and I really want to continue my life, my normal lifestyle. People that knows me knows that I am not really a social media person. So I don't know how to face the whole, like the people that saw my video, my family, the people that saw the video, facing them, doing business with them, coming to do business, and somebody is watching my body. It's so embarrassing. I don't even know how to come about with that. So this is the part of the story. This is all that happened inside the aircraft. So I'm happy I'm strong enough to be able to talk now. So please, this is what happened. I'm not a trouble person. I am not a nuisance. People that knows me in real life, they know the kind of person I am. So that was what happened inside the aircraft, which I never expected that it would be like escalate like this. Because not like I refused. This is not the first time I'm traveling. I never refused to off the phone. I only told her that my power button is bad and I needed her assistance to do that, which she refused. But the passenger that was sitting close to me assisted me eventually up the phone. So I thought that was it. So please, this was what happened, and I'm happy I've come up to tell you people what happened. But I'll round up my treatment, and I pray I should fully recover from everything and move forward and go back to my normal lifestyle. Please, thank you very much, and God bless you.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.
Leaders of the Nigeria affiliates of Al-Qaeda International Terrorist Group, known as Ansar and Mahmouda, have been captured by men of the Armed Forces of Nigeria, AFN, after 2 months of intelligence-led special operations in northern Nigeria. The West African nation National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, stated this at a press conference with the nation's security chiefs, saying, "The 2 arrested suspected terrorists leaders have cells across the country where they have been executing various crimes of armed robbery in addition to raise funds for the terrorist activities." Details of the public announcement as stated by Nuhu Ribadu and made available by the office of the spokesperson to the Nigeria President, Bayo Onanuga, on Saturday reads verbatim below. Nigeria dismantles terror groups, Ansar and Mahmouda, with the capture of their leaders. Nigeria has recorded a significant breakthrough in the war against terrorism with the capture of the leaders of Ansar and Mahmouda. At a press briefing on Saturday evening, the National Security Advisor, Malam Nuhu Ribadu, said the 2 terrorists on the wanted list of Nigeria, the US, UK and UN were captured in an operation which was conducted between May and July 2025. He said the men were captured in a high-risk, intelligence-led, counter-terrorism operation which led to their capture. They are leaders of Jama'atu Ansar al-Muslimina fi Biladis Sudan, commonly known as Ansar, Nigeria's Al-Qaeda affiliate. Ribadu said the 2 men have been responsible for masterminding many terrorist attacks against Nigeria over the past years. According to Ribadu, the first is Mahmoud Muhammad Usman, aka Abu Bara, Abbas, Mukhtar, the self-styled Emir of Ansar. He is the coordinator of various terrorist sleeper cells across Nigeria. He is also the mastermind of several high-profile kidnappings and armed robberies used to finance terrorism over the years. The second is Mahmoud al-Nigeri, aka Malam Mahmouda, Abu Bara's proclaimed chief of staff and deputy. He is the leader of the so-called Mahmoudawa cell hiding out in and around the Kainji National Park, straddling Niger and Kwara states up to Benin Republic. Mahmouda trained in Libya between 2013 and 2015 under foreign jihadist instructors from Egypt, Tunisia, and Algeria, specializing in weapons handling and IED fabrication. These 2 men have been on Nigeria's most wanted list for years. They jointly spearheaded multiple attacks on civilians, security forces, and critical infrastructure. Their operations include the 2022 Kuje prison break, the attack on the Niger uranium facility, the 2013 abduction of French engineer Francis Colomb in Katsina, and the May 1, 2019 kidnapping of Alhaji Musa Umar Uba Magajan Garandaura. They were also behind the abduction of the Emir of Wawa, and they maintained active links with terrorist groups across the Maghreb, particularly in Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso. The 2 men, who are wanted internationally, are currently in custody. The capture of Abu Bara and Malam Mahmouda, the group's leader and deputy commander, respectively, marks one of the most significant achievements to date in our ongoing effort to rid Nigeria of the threat of terrorism. The successful decapitation of the leadership of this dangerous franchise marks the most decisive blow against ANSARU since its inception. This strike has effectively dismantled its central command while paving the path for the complete annihilation of the group, Ribadu said. The Ansaru group was first formed in January 2012 with a public declaration in Kano. It emerged as a splinter faction from Boko Haram, positioning itself as a humane alternative. However, its stated aim quickly turned to attacking Nigerian security operatives, civilian communities and government infrastructure. The group publicly displayed the setting sun logo of Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, AQIM, signaling its ideological and operational alignment with global jihadist movements. Over the years, Ansar entrenched itself in both urban sleeper cells and forest enclaves across several cities in northern Nigeria and in forest-based enclaves, particularly around Kainji National Park, straddling Niger and Kwara states, as well as the Benin Republic, Rabadu explained.
This briefing is organized to update you on the recent successes recorded by Nigeria in the ongoing efforts to decisively rid our country of terrorist groups. This press briefing is in line with our continuous resolve to keep the general public abreast with the efforts being undertaken by the Office of the National Security Advisor in conjunction with the services, intelligence agencies, and other key stakeholders. Today, I'm glad to inform you that we have successfully concluded a high-risk, intelligence-led counter-terrorism operation, which led to the capture of the top leadership of Jama'atul Ansarul Muslimina fi Biladis, Sudan, commonly known as Ansaru, Nigeria's Al-Qaeda affiliate. The group was first formed in January 2012 with a public declaration in Kano. It emerged as a splinter faction from Boko Haram, positioning itself as a humane alternative. However, its stated aim quickly turned into attacking Nigerian security agencies and operatives, civilian communities, and government infrastructure. The group publicly displayed the setting sun logo of Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, signaling its ideological and operational alignment with global jihadist movements. Over the years, Ansaru entrenched itself in both urban sleeper cells and forest enclaves across several cities in northern Nigeria and in forest-based enclaves, particularly around Kainji National Park, straddling Niger and Kwara states, as well as Benin Republic. The targeted operation, which was conducted between May and July 2025, led to the capture of 2 top Ansaru leaders who have been responsible for masterminding several terrorist attacks against Nigeria over the past years. The first is Muhammad Usman, otherwise known as Abu Bara Abbas Mukhtari, the self-styled emir of Ansaru. He is the coordinator of various terrorist sleeper cells across Nigeria. He is also the mastermind of several high-profile kidnappings and armed robberies used to finance terrorism over the years. The second is Mahmoud al-Nigeri, otherwise known as Malam Mahmouda, Abu Bara's proclaimed chief of staff and deputy. He is the leader of the so-called Mahmoudawa cell hiding out in and around the Kainji National Park, straddling Niger and Kwara states, up to Benin Republic. Mahmouda trained in Libya between 2013 and 2015 under the foreign jihadist instructors in Libya, from Egypt, Tunisia, and Algeria, specializing in weapons handling and IED fabrication. These 2 men have been on Nigeria's most wanted list for the years. They jointly spearheaded multiple attacks on civilians, security forces, and critical infrastructure Their operatives include the 2022 Kuje prison break, the attack on the Niger uranium facility, the 2013 abduction of French engineer Francis Kolob in Katsina, the May 1st, 2029 kidnapping of Alhaji Musa Umar Uba, Magajin Garin Daura, and so many other terrorist incidents and attacks. They were also behind the abduction of the Emir of Wawa, and they maintain active links with terrorist groups across the Maghreb, particularly in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. The two men who are wanted internationally are currently in our custody. The capture of Abu Bara and Mala Mahmouda, the group's leaders and deputy commander, respectively marks one of the most significant achievements to date in our ongoing effort to rid Nigeria of the threat of terrorism. The successful decapitation of the leadership of this dangerous franchise marks the most decisive blow against Ansaru since its inception. This strike has effectively dismantled its central command while paving the path for the complete annihilation of this group. This feat undoubtedly exemplifies Nigeria's advancing counter-terrorism capabilities. The precision operation followed months of deep surveillance, human intelligence, and technical tracking, which demonstrate enhanced sophistication and seamless interagency synergy. Let me use this opportunity to inform the public that in the course of the operation, our security forces captured and recovered valuable, actionable intelligence. These include a cache of materials and digital evidence, which are all now undergoing forensic analysis. The findings from the analysis are expected to support our ongoing efforts to exploit this success, bring them to justice, and completely annihilate the residual of Ansaru. Bring them to justice, like I said, and bring down the networks and disrupt their foreign collaborators. The capture of Abu Bara and Mahmouda signals the beginning of the end to impunity for terrorist leaders in Nigeria. Nigeria will continue to pursue extremists with precision, resolve, and unwavering determination. The fight is far from over, yes, but the fall of Ansaru leadership represents a decisive step forward. At this juncture, let me appreciate His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for his leadership, for the strategic guidance and support to all, in all ramifications, which give us the impetus to continue to record successes. I must also appreciate the doggedness of the armed forces. Thank you very much. And all our intelligence and security agencies. Thank you so very much, all of you, who all work tirelessly, collaboratively to achieve this outcome. Thank you very much. In conclusion, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to the media for your patriotism and relentless support to our drive to stamp out terrorism from our dear nation. Finally, let me reassure the Nigerian public, our public, Nigerians, that we will not relent in our drive to make Nigeria safe for all citizens. In recognition that national security is a shared responsibility, I urge all law-abiding citizens to continue to remain vigilant and volunteer timely information to security agencies for your prompt action. I want to assure you, Nigeria is in safe hands. Thank you very much, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.
Following the meeting of President Vladimir Putin of Russia and President Donald Trump of the United States on Friday in Alaska, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said he knows the treachery of President Putin, that, in the coming days, Russia's soldiers may try to increase pressure and strikes against Ukrainian positions in order to create more favorable political circumstances for talks with global actors. Zelensky made this statement some hours ago while stating that Ukrainian soldiers have achieved some successes in Donetsk region, especially in the areas of Dobropilya and Pokrovsk, then ordered the commander-in-chief, Alexander Syrsky, to speak with combat commanders that Ukraine needs strong positions and truly tangible resistance to the enemy. In his words, Zelensky said, "I received a report from Commander-in-Chief Alexander Syrsky. The front, the defense of positions, and up-to-date information on the intentions and movements of the Russian army. We are defending our positions along the entire front line, and for the second day in a row, we have achieved successes in some extremely difficult areas in the Donetsk region, in the direction of Dobropilya and Pokrovsk. In particular, I want to commend the units of the 1st Corps of the National Guard of Ukraine, Azov, the units of the 7th Corps of the Air Assault Forces, the units of the 38th Separate Marine Brigade named after Hetman Petro Sahedikny, as well as the units of our 93rd Separate Mechanized Brigade, Kolodny Yar. The destruction of the occupiers who tried to infiltrate deeper into our positions continues. There has also been an important replenishment of Ukraine's exchange fund with Russian soldiers. The Commander-in-Chief also reported on the actions of our units in the Sumy, Kharkiv, and Zaporizhia regions. I am grateful to all our warriors for their resilience. Based on the political and diplomatic situation around Ukraine, and knowing Russia's treachery, we anticipate that in the coming days the Russian army may try to increase pressure and strikes against Ukrainian positions in order to create more favorable political circumstances for talks with global actors. We are documenting the movement and preparations of Russian troops. Of course, we will counteract, if necessary, asymmetrically. I asked the Commander-in-Chief to speak with combat commanders. Ukraine needs strong positions and truly tangible resistance to the enemy. I thank every one of our soldiers, sergeants, and officers who are carrying out combat missions and destroying the occupiers in the way that is necessary for Ukraine's confidence. Glory to Ukraine. We had a long and substantive conversation with POTUS, President of the United States. We started with one-on-one talks before inviting European leaders to join us. This call lasted for more than an hour and a half, including about an hour of our bilateral conversation with President Trump. Ukraine reaffirms its readiness to work with maximum effort to achieve peace. President Trump informed about his meeting with the Russian leader and the main points of the discussion. It is important that America's strength has an impact on the development of the situation. We support President Trump's proposal for a trilateral meeting between Ukraine, the USA, and Russia. Ukraine emphasizes that key issues can be discussed at the level of leaders, and a trilateral format is suitable for this. On Monday, I will meet with President Trump in Washington, D.C., to discuss all of the details regarding ending the killing and the war. I am grateful for the invitation. It is important that Europeans are involved at every stage to ensure reliable security guarantees together with America. We also discussed positive signals from the American side regarding participation in guaranteeing Ukraine's security. We continue to coordinate our positions with all partners. I thank everyone who is helping. On the day of negotiations, the Russians are killing as well. And that speaks volumes. Recently, we've discussed with the US and Europeans what can truly work. Everyone needs a just end to the war. Ukraine is ready to work as productively as possible to bring the war to an end, and we count on a strong position from America. Everything will depend on this. The Russians factor in American strength. Make no mistake, strength. I am receiving reports from our intelligence and diplomats regarding the preparations for the meeting in Alaska. Regarding what Putin is bringing to the table, We are also receiving reports from Ukraine's regions following Russian strikes. Sumy, a Russian strike on the central market. Dnipro region, strikes on cities and enterprises. Zaporizhia, Kherson region, Donetsk region, deliberate Russian strikes. The war continues, and it is precisely because there is neither an order nor even a signal that Moscow is preparing to end this war. Russia must end the war that it itself started and has been dragging out for years. The killings must stop. A meeting of leaders is needed. At the very least, Ukraine, America, and the Russian side. And it is precisely in such a format that effective decisions are possible. Security guarantees are needed. Lasting peace is needed. Everyone knows the key objectives. I want to thank everyone who is helping to achieve real results. We have reported that there is still no peace in sight after nearly 3 hours of meeting held in Anchorage City in Alaska, a state in the United States, US, between President Vladimir Putin of Russia and President Donald Trump of the United States, over the war Russia launched since 2022 in Ukraine, which has led to thousands of deaths, mostly Ukrainians, which President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine, who was not invited for the meeting on Friday, in a statement said that it was time to end the war, but Russia must take the necessary steps to a genuine peace deal. And while commenting on the statement made by the President of Poland, Karol Nawrocki, on Friday via X social media platform to mark Poland Armed Forces Day, which coincided with the day Putin and Trump met in Alaska, President Zelensky said that Ukraine's independence strengthens Poland's independence, and we must always remember that the miracle on the Vistula was made possible through joint efforts, and it saved Europe. And the Polish President, Karol Nawrocki, had said that today we celebrate the 105th anniversary of the great Polish victory at the Battle of Warsaw in 1920. The Polish army, together with Ukrainian forces, successfully repelled the Red Army's westward march, safeguarding Europe from a communist revolution. For centuries, Russian imperialism has been a mortal threat to our freedom. Poland's political tradition teaches that Russian expansionism rests on a legacy of domestic despotism, in which the only free man is the ruler himself. But precisely because Russian despotism is the enemy of freedom, Russian imperialism can only be defeated through an alliance of free peoples. My nation halted Russian imperialism at Orsha, 1514, Klushino, 1610, and Warsaw, 1920.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.
There is still no peace in sight after nearly 3 hours of meeting held in Anchorage City in Alaska, a state in the United States, US, between President Vladimir Putin of Russia and President Donald Trump of the United States, over the war Russia launched since 2022 in Ukraine, which has led to thousands of deaths, mostly Ukrainians, which President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine, who was not invited for the meeting on Friday, in a statement said that it was time to end the war, but Russia must take the necessary steps to a genuine peace deal. And while commenting on the statement made by the President of Poland, Karol Nawrocki, on Friday via X social media platform to mark Poland Armed Forces Day, which coincided with the day Putin and Trump met in Alaska, President Zelensky said that Ukraine's independence strengthens Poland's independence, and we must always remember that the miracle on the Vistula was made possible through joint efforts, and it saved Europe. And the Polish President, Karol Nawrocki, had said that today we celebrate the 105th anniversary of the great Polish victory at the Battle of Warsaw in 1920. The Polish army, together with Ukrainian forces, successfully repelled the Red Army's westward march, safeguarding Europe from a communist revolution. For centuries, Russian imperialism has been a mortal threat to our freedom. Poland's political tradition teaches that Russian expansionism rests on a legacy of domestic despotism, in which the only free man is the ruler himself. But precisely because Russian despotism is the enemy of freedom, Russian imperialism can only be defeated through an alliance of free peoples. My nation halted Russian imperialism at Orsha, 1514, Klushino, 1610, and Warsaw, 1920. It was probably a cynosure of world attention when Air Force One and Russia presidential aircraft officially wheeled down at Joint Base Elmendorf as President Donald Trump and President Vladimir Putin met face-to-face for the first time since the war in Ukraine started on February 24, 2022, and the Friday meeting marked the first time President Vladimir Putin of Russia was stepping on Western country soil since he launched the war against Ukraine. He was able to meet Trump in Alaska because the US is not a member country of the International Criminal Court, ICC, that issued a warrant of arrest against the Kremlin leader since 2023 over alleged war crime in Ukraine. It would be recalled that the Russian president, Vladimir Putin, did not attend the 2025 annual Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa summit known as BRICS Summit in Brazil due to concerns over an International Criminal Court warrant for his arrest in connection with alleged war crimes committed in Ukraine. According to the Kremlin aide, Yuri Ushakov, President Vladimir Putin did not attend the summit, due to certain difficulties in the context of the ICC requirement. Adding, in that context, the Brazilian government could not take a clear position that would allow our president to participate in this meeting. Instead, the Russian leader joined his BRICS colleagues via video link. Putin was declared a war crimes suspect since the ICC named him in a March 2023 arrest warrant over the mass deportation of Ukrainian children. Russia stands accused of abducting and deporting tens of thousands of Ukrainian children, with many victims reportedly subjected to ideological indoctrination to rob them of the Ukrainian heritage and impose a Russian national identity. The alleged mass abductions, according to observers, may qualify as genocide according to the 1948 United Nations Genocide Convention, which identifies forcibly transferring children of the group to another group as one of 5 internationally recognized acts of genocide. As a signatory to the Rome Statute that established the ICC, Brazil would have been obliged to arrest Putin if he entered the country. Addressing the ICC warrant in 2023, Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva initially dismissed talk of detaining the Russian president, before backtracking and distancing himself from the issue. If Putin decides to go to Brazil, it's the justice system that will take the decision over whether he should be arrested, not the government or Congress, Lula stated. Putin faced similar uncertainty 2 years ago ahead of the annual gathering of BRICS leaders, which was then being hosted by South Africa. The South African authorities reportedly came under considerable pressure from their Russian colleagues to provide assurances that the Kremlin dictator could travel to the August 2023 event without fear of arrest. Russia has made it clear that arresting its sitting president would be a declaration of war, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa stated then in the build-up to the summit. The African country was ultimately unable to offer any guarantees, forcing Putin to abandon his plans to attend the summit in South Africa. Fox News reported that the Russian president, Vladimir Putin, makes a rare public appearance at a monument honoring U.S. cooperation during World War II, just hours before his summit with President Trump on Friday. And after the summit in Alaska, local media showed a video of President Putin kneeling at every Soviet pilot grave in Alaska. As both leaders met on the tarmac of the U.S. military base airport, a flyover of American military planes passed overhead, including fighter jets and what appeared to be a B-2 stealth bomber. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin emerged from a nearly 3-hour meeting on the Ukraine war and gave public statements, but left without announcing any agreement or ceasefire, and they refused to take questions from the press. U.S. fighter jets were seen escorting Vladimir Putin's plane out of Alaska after the summit with Trump. The Kremlin posted a video on Telegram appearing to show at least 2 U.S. F-22 fighter jets escorting the Russian president's plane out of Alaska following talks with Donald Trump. "There's no deal until there's a deal," Trump said. The White House had said there would be a news conference after the closed-door meeting, but both men walked off stage without taking any questions. Trump hosted the summit at a military base in Alaska in an audacious bid to broker a peace deal and stop a 3-year war with Ukraine and its ever-rising body count. It was not immediately clear what was agreed upon in the talks. "We didn't get there, but we have a very Good chance of getting there, Trump said. President Donald Trump added via a post that, a great and very successful day in Alaska. It was determined by all that the best way to end the horrific war between Russia and Ukraine is to go directly to a peace agreement. President Zelensky will be coming to D.C., the Oval Office, on Monday. While President Putin and Trump were on the way to meet in Alaska, Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine, in a number of press statements made available via his verified X social media account, said he held a staff meeting to discuss 3 key issues. The front, particularly the Pokrovsk sector. We are countering the attempts of Russian forces to gain a foothold and increasing the pressure of our units on the occupier. We are succeeding. Units of the 79th and 82nd Air Assault Brigades are operating very effectively in the Dobropilya area. Today, a decision was made to further reinforce this and other areas in the Donetsk region. Special attention was paid to positions in the Zaporizhia region. I thank all our warriors for their resilience. The Russian army continues to suffer significant losses in its attempts to secure more favorable political positions for the Russian leadership at the meeting in Alaska. We understand this plan and are informing our partners about the real situation. We also discussed today the development of the contract system in the defense forces and the funding of Ukraine's defense and security forces for 2025-2026. Under any circumstances, our army will be ready to respond effectively and swiftly to threats to Ukrainian statehood. The priority is the development of a contract army. Today, I also expect a report from our intelligence on the current intentions of the Russian side and its preparations for the meeting in Alaska. Indeed, high stakes. The key thing is that this meeting should open up a real path toward a just peace and a substantive discussion between leaders in a trilateral format, Ukraine, the United States, and the Russian side. It is time to end the war, and the necessary steps must be taken by Russia. We are counting on America. We are ready, as always, to work as productively as possible. I held a meeting with the government team, the office, and the Secretary of the National Security and Defense Council to discuss our diplomatic work, the highest priority areas. In particular, we addressed the funding of Ukraine's defense forces, auditing the effectiveness of coalitions with partners, special formats, the substance of our bilateral relations in key global areas, and our work at the EU level. I instructed that the foreign policy plan be updated for the period through the end of the year. On Monday, I expect the updated plan to be presented. With a neighbor like Russia, only the cooperation of free nations can effectively protect each of them. We value Poland's support for Ukraine. Ukraine's independence strengthens Poland's independence. And we must always remember that the miracle on the Vistula was made possible through joint efforts, and it saved Europe. In the same way, Ukrainians have been defending our state in the full-scale war for 4 years. By repelling the Russian army in Ukraine, near Kyiv, in the Sumy, Kharkiv, and Donetsk regions, as well as in the Black Sea, Ukrainians are truly ensuring the opportunity for all Europeans to live freely, free of Moscow's madness. I thank Poland for walking along this path shoulder to shoulder with us. Congratulations on Polish Armed Forces Day and best wishes for our and your independence to always remain strong. President Karol Nawrocki of Poland had said that, today we celebrate the 105th anniversary of the great Polish victory at the Battle of Warsaw in 1920. The Polish army, together with Ukrainian forces, successfully repelled the Red Army's westward march, safeguarding Europe from a communist revolution. For centuries, Russian imperialism has been a mortal threat to our freedom. Poland's political tradition teaches that Russian expansionism rests on a legacy of domestic despotism, in which the only free man is the ruler himself. But precisely because Russian despotism is the enemy of freedom, Russian imperialism can only be defeated through an alliance of free peoples. My nation halted Russian imperialism at Orsha, 1514, Klushino, 1610, and Warsaw, 1920. The Polish people know that resisting Russian imperialism is not merely an economic matter. It concerns the very essence of human and national freedom. Freedom is priceless. It can neither be bought nor sold. It must be defended. This is the Polish tradition, stretching back to the 15th century. I invite all who cherish freedom and peace to join my fellow Poles on August 15th in celebrating the halting of despotism and the defense of liberty.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.
Co-contestants in the last concluded general elections in Nigeria and former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, has faulted President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's trip to Brazil and also condemned the president's frequent travel abroad at any slightest invitation and abandoned pressing issues of insecurity and other deplorable situations that make the nation bleeds. Specifically, Peter Obi said, "The situation we find ourselves in is deeply worrisome. Our president, who has not found it worthy to visit any of our troubled states, takes joy in traveling to foreign countries at the slightest invitation or excuse, often departing several days even before the events he's invited to." The presidency had in a statement on Wednesday said that President Bola Tinubu will depart Abuja on Thursday, August 14th, for a two-nation trip to Japan and Brazil. The president will stop over in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, before proceeding to Japan. In Japan, President Tinubu will attend the 9th Tokyo International Conference on African Development, TICAD9, in the city of Yokohama from August 20th to 22. With the theme, Co-Create Innovative Solutions with Africa, TICAD9 will focus on Africa's economic transformation and improvements in the business environment and institutions through private investment and innovation. It will also promote a resilient and sustainable African society for human security, peace, and stability. In addition to attending plenary sessions on themes linked to the conference, the Nigerian president will hold bilateral meetings and meet the chief executive officers of some Japanese companies with investments in Nigeria. Initiated in 1993 by the Japanese government and co-hosted by the United Nations, UNDP, the African Union Commission, and the World Bank, TICAD is a triennial conference held alternately in Japan and Africa. The last one took place in August 2022 in Tunisia. The forum fosters high-level policy dialogue between African leaders and development partners. At the end of the TICAD9, President Tinubu will leave for Brasilia, the capital of the Federative Republic of Brazil, on a two-day state visit from Sunday, August 24th, to Monday, August 25th. This follows an invitation by the Brazilian president, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. While in Brazil, President Tinubu will hold a bilateral meeting with his host and attend a business forum with Brazilian investors. His delegation, comprising key ministers and senior officials, will explore opportunities to strengthen cooperation and sign agreements and memoranda of understanding, MOUs, with the Brazilian government. Bayo Onanuga, special advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, stated on August 13, 2025. Peter Obi, the Labour Party presidential candidate in the last concluded general elections in the West Africa country, in a statement on Thursday, said, "Again our president moves as the nation bleeds. Amid the deplorable state of our nation in all ramifications, we have a virtually indifferent president who has continued to display insensitivity to our situation. How can anyone explain that a president who came from Brazil recently and met with the president is returning to the same country, leaving the various degrees of challenges at home unresolved? The latest itinerary of the president shows he will depart Abuja on Thursday, August 14th, for a two-nation trip to Japan and Brazil. The president will stop over in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, before proceeding to Japan. In Japan, President Tinubu will attend the 9th Tokyo International Conference on African Development, TICAD9, in the city of Yokohama from August 20th to 22. The itinerary is silent on the president's return date to his visibly troubled nation. The situation we find ourselves in is deeply worrisome. Our president, who has not found it worthy to visit any of our troubled states, takes joy in traveling to foreign countries at the slightest invitation or excuse, often departing several days even before the events he's invited to. In his last trip, for instance, he had a one-week state visit to St. Lucia before attending the BRICS summit, where Nigeria was merely invited as an observer, though the role was dressed up as partner to the invitation, which was more significant. The leaders of actual member countries who attended only arrived a day or two at most for the event. Nigeria's insecurity situation, economic hardship, and human suffering have reached their peak. We are now counted among the most insecure nations, the most fragile economies, and the hungriest countries in the world. This dire reality demands the full attention of Mr. President, and his travels should be more within our troubled states and communities, spending time on the ground, and taking decisive action to alleviate the people's suffering rather than these overseas conferences that contribute little or no tangible value to our nation's woes. And where the trip is necessary at all, it could be attended in just a few days rather than indulging in prolonged, unnecessary absences from a country that requires 24/7 attention. What our nation needs now is security of lives and properties, economic stability, and ensuring that our people have food on their table. Our president's planned trip of 12 days departing today, if necessary, should have been at most a 5-day trip, as the event he was invited to in Japan commences on the 20th. Nigeria today demands competent leadership with capacity and compassion to start dealing with the problems besetting it with the presence and sacrifice required. Mr. President must, as a matter of urgency, commence tours of our states with the same enthusiasm he shows for jetting out of the country every month. These visits will enable him to see, listen and learn more about what Nigerians are going through. Though Nigerians know that our huge problems cannot be solved overnight, they want to see 100% effort and tireless commitment to solving them. Most importantly, our president must know that he's not a tourist, but the chief executive of a troubled nation, so he must have consciousness, strict work schedules, and a strict traveling schedule to show that he has a troubled country to quickly return to.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.
Federal government of Nigeria under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has ordered the Commissioner of Police in charge of Lagos Airport to withdraw the one-sided and obviously biased court case the Nigeria police force may have wrongly instituted against an Ibom Air passenger, Comfort Emanson, who was seen in viral videos retaliating and defending herself physically after a group of Ibom Air personnel and Lagos Airport team had attacked her and provoked her to action. The FG position on the issue was made known by the Nigeria Minister of Aviation, Festus Keyamo, in a press release the minister signed and made available few minutes ago. Although Festus Keyamo reversed himself and acknowledged that the issue was a case of confrontation between the 26-year-old passenger and the staff of Ibom Airlines, who in the new press release admitted that the staff of Ibom Air and the Lagos Airport Authority team acted wrongly, but the minister did not state how the attacked passenger would be compensated, most especially when her chest sexual organs were seen to be deliberately exposed after a suspected Ibom Airlines staff pulled off and tore the passenger shirt with obvious intention to expose the passenger's nakedness. The action of the federal government may ease the tension among millions of people who have accused the Nigeria police force of aiding and abetting the Ibom Airline company to continue to attack and oppress the offended passenger, Comfort Bob, who is also identified as Comfort Emanson, by thus supporting the statement of Ibom Air Management, who in their first press release made statement that seems to have some level of deliberate falsehood and raising up a dead issue to win undue public sentiments, manipulate the Nigeria police force to help them secure detention holding charge from the Lagos State Magistrate Court to further oppress and intimidate the attacked passenger. Specifically, Ibom Air stated in her first press release that, shortly after the plane landed at Lagos Airport, the passenger waited for every other passenger on board the plane to disembark, and thereafter, without provocation, went to one of the plane hostesses, Juliana Edward. The Ibom Air Management described as purser, stepped on her, forcibly tore off her wig, removed her glasses and threw it to the floor, and used her footwear to assault her. she slapped her several times, and when the other cabin crew member tried to intervene, she slapped her too. She then attempted to forcibly remove a fire extinguisher to use as a weapon, an act that could have damaged and grounded the aircraft. Soon after the IBOM Air Management released the statement on Monday, a video surfaced on the internet that probably invalidated the statement of the IBOM Air Management and stood out as an acceptable evidence that the management of IBOM Air are people who may be rightly described as pathological liars who probably believed in telling lies as a way of managing crisis and handling difficult customers' relations, as seen in the viral video that surfaced the internet after the apparent falsehood of IBOM Air Management. The attacked passenger was seen politely telling the air hostess, Juliana Edward, to leave the doorway so that she can disembark from the plane. The seeming aggressor in this matter, the air hostess Juliana Edward, refused to yield to the appeal of the passenger, and IBOM Air Management in their first press release confirmed that the air hostess, Juliana Edward, deliberately blocked the doorway to prevent the passenger from disembarking the aircraft, and in the viral video, the attached wig hair on the head of the air hostess was still seen on her head and intact while the passenger was telling her to leave the doorway so that she can pass. Obviously, this is in contrary to the seemingly deliberate falsehood painted and stated in black and white by the IBOM Air Management that the air hostess' attached wig hair was destroyed by the passenger without provocation. Also, the attached wig hair on the passenger head and the jacket she was putting on were still intact as at the time she was telling the apparent aggressor, the air hostess, to leave the door, and another viral video later showed both the air hostess and the passenger dragging at the point of the plane divider cotton, and at this time, as seen in the video, both the passenger and air hostess wig hair were pulled off, including the passenger jacket she was putting on to cover her body completely. The natural hair on their heads could now be seen as they continued to drag each other at the plane doorway, and IBOM Air Management, in trying to seemingly win undue public sentiments, raised up a dead issue of a minor quarrel the passenger had with the air hostess and co-passenger over the passenger's alleged initial refusal to switch off her phone during the plane takeoff at Uyo Airport. The IBOM Air Management in the press release confirmed that the minor quarrel the passenger had with the air hostess and co-passenger over switching off phone at Uyo Airport was already a dead issue, and the action of the passenger never led to threat of aviation safety or violation of aviation safety procedures. Hence, the passenger was not deplaned at Uyo Airport. But we don't know why the management of IBOM Air decided to advertise and bring up the minor quarrel as a way to seemingly win public sentiments to cover up the true picture of a separate event that occurred between the passenger and the air hostess when the plane landed at Lagos Airport, and the Nigeria police force in the 5-count charges filed against the passenger at the Ikeja Magistrate Court in Lagos State did not state or even mention the event that occurred at Uyo Airport before the plane took off. Announcing the withdrawal day early morning, the Nigeria Minister of Aviation, Festus Keyamo, said, and in quotes, that 1. In the last 48 hours, I have been in consultation with critical stakeholders in the aviation sector and those involved in the unfortunate incidents regarding the unruly behaviors of certain individuals at our airports of recent. 2. Though regrettable, we think valuable lessons have been learned by all sides to these incidents, and airport security protocol, especially, have been well highlighted for the traveling public. If nothing at all, the episodes have undoubtedly helped to raise public awareness about appropriate conduct within the aviation space. 3. As highlighted in my previous statements on the last 2 incidents, clear wrongs were committed by both the offending passengers and staff of the airlines involved from all the evidence available to us and those available to the public. It is clear that all the actors involved cannot continue to highlight the injury or injustice done to them without acknowledging their own equal culpability. 5. Therefore, after reviewing the entire incidents, including appeals made by well-meaning individuals and remorse shown by the actors, the following decisions have been reached. A. In the case of the unruly passenger, Comfort Emanson, on the IBOM airline on Sunday, the 10th of August, 2025, I have conferred with IBOM Airline to withdraw the complaint against her today. When the police took her statement in presence of her lawyer, she exhibited great remorse for her conduct. B. Subsequent to the withdrawal of the complaint by the complainant, the CP of Airport Command and the police prosecutor will immediately take the remaining steps to facilitate her release from Kirikiri prisons within this week. C. I have also conferred with the leadership of the airline operators of Nigeria, AON, and have appealed to them to lift the lifetime flying ban imposed on her, to which they agreed. The details of the resolution will be made public by the AON subsequently. D. In the case of Quam 1, the NCAA is to reduce his flight ban to a 1-month period. FAAN will also work with the music star with a view to engaging him as an ambassador for proper airport security protocol going forward. E. Having publicly demonstrated penitence, the NCAA is also to withdraw its criminal complaints against Quam 1 earlier lodged with the police. F. In the case of Captain Olaranti Agoyi and the co-pilot, First Officer Ivan Oliver of Valujet, the NCAA is to restore their licenses after the same period of 1-month ban after undergoing some mandatory professional reappraisal. The details will be announced by the NCAA. 6. I have directed all relevant aviation agencies in collaboration with other complementary agencies outside aviation to immediately begin a retreat next week to properly retrain and prepare our aviation security personnel on how to deal with errant and disruptive passengers and how to de-escalate potentially explosive situations. The retreat will be fully covered by the press with the opportunity to ask all the relevant questions. 7. The airlines will also have their own session when the conduct and attitude of their staff towards members of the traveling public will be in full focus. 8. These above decisions were taken by government and the airline operators purely on compassionate grounds, as government will never pander to base sentiments, politically motivated views or warped legal opinions when clear encroachment of our laws are involved. 9. We are also sending a clear message that we take safety and security in the aviation sector very seriously, and we have decided to draw a line after these clemencies. Nigeria Police Force, in the 5-count charges filed against the female passenger of Ibom Air, stated that, Count 1, that you comfort Bob on the 10th day of August, 2025, at about 14:30 hours, while on board Ibom aircraft number SNBXP parked at Murtala Muhammad Airport Terminal 2, MMA2, Ikeja, in the El-Keja Magisterial District, did behave in an unruly and disorderly manner by shouting on top of your voice, abusing and assaulting the flight crew and refusing to disembark from the aircraft after landing, and thereby committed an offense contrary to Section 4(1) and punishable under Section 4(2) of Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, FAAN, by Law 2005. Count 2, that you comfort Bob, on the same date, time and place, in the aforementioned magisterial district, did assault one Juliana Edward by slapping and hitting her cheeks with your right hand, and thereby committed an offense contrary to Section 170(1)(a)(b), and punishable under Section 172 of the Criminal Law of Lagos State of Nigeria. 2015. Count 3, that you comfort Bob, on the same date and place, at about 14:50 hours, in the aforementioned magisterial district, did assault one Jokpam Sagan by hitting her face with your slippers, and thereby committed an offense contrary to Section 171(a)(b), and punishable under Section 172 of the Criminal Law of Lagos State of Nigeria. 2015. Count 4, that you comfort Bob, on the same date, time and place, in the aforementioned magisterial district, did willfully damage the aircraft divider Cotton value $2,500, belonging to Ibom Airline, and thereby committed an offense contrary to and punishable under Section 350 of the Criminal Laws of Lagos State of Nigeria. 2015. Count 5, that you comfort Bob, on the same date, time and place, in the aforementioned magisterial district, did willfully damage one braided wig by dragging and tearing the wig valued 110,000 naira, 110,000 nairas, belonging to Juliana, Edward, and thereby committed an offence contrary to and punishable under Section 350 of the Criminal Laws of Lagos State of Nigeria, 2015. The Ibom Air Management, in a press release issued on Monday entitled, "Incident Involving an Unruly Passenger on August 10, 2025, said, and in quotes, that Ibom Air confirms that on Sunday, August 10, 2025, an incident occurred on board our Uyo Lagos flight involving a passenger, Comfort Emanson, whose conduct posed a serious threat to the safety of our crew, passengers, and aircraft. Shortly before takeoff from Uyo, Emanson was instructed, in line with standard aviation safety procedures, to switch off her mobile phone. She bluntly refused to comply until the pilot in command made an announcement, after which a fellow passenger seated beside her took the phone and switched it off. This action prompted a verbal tirade from Emanson. The situation was eventually calmed, and the flight departed as scheduled. Upon arrival in Lagos, Emanson waited for all other passengers to disembark and then proceeded to confront the purser who had earlier instructed her. She walked up to the unsuspecting purser, stepped on her, forcibly tore off her wig, removed her glasses and threw it to the floor, and used her footwear to assault her. She slapped her several times, and when the other cabin crew member tried to intervene, she slapped her too. She then attempted to forcibly remove a fire extinguisher to use as a weapon, an act that could have damaged and grounded the aircraft. By this time, the pilot in command had alerted airport security. Before security could arrive, the purser, as seen on the viral video on the internet, prevented the passenger from leaving the aircraft until security arrived. The arrival of Ibom Air security personnel did not deter the passenger, as she attacked him as well, lashing out violently at the security personnel. She was then restrained and removed from the aircraft by force. Even after disembarking, she continued to assault Ibom Air security personnel, and even slapped the ground supervisor. The passenger was removed from the ramp and taken into custody by FAAN security and handed over to the Nigeria police force for further investigation. Ibom Air has since submitted a report on the incident to the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, and placed a travel restriction on Emanson, who will no longer be permitted to fly on any of our aircraft. Ibom Air reiterates its zero-tolerance policy towards any form of unruly or violent conduct that threatens the safety of passengers, crew, or equipment. Such behavior will be met with the strongest possible response, including legal action and permanent restriction from our services. We commend the bravery and professionalism of our crew in handling this situation under extremely challenging circumstances, as well as the swift support from airport security and the Nigeria police. Safety remains our highest priority. We urge all passengers to comply with crew instructions at all times for the safety, security, and comfort of everyone on board. We have reported that the Nigeria Aviation Minister, Festus Keyamo, says the ministry has directed for the aviation staff who released the video footage containing the aspect of an Ibom Airlines passenger, Comfort Emanson or Bob, seen in an indecent appearance with her chest sexual organs exposed after the passenger shirt was torn by an Ibom Airlines staff, while security operatives were seen in the viral video dragging the aggrieved passenger out of the aircraft following an act of confrontation between the passenger and Ibom Airlines hostesses, which one of the hostesses blocked the right of way of the passenger and prevented the passenger from disembarking from the plane. And after countless warning to the airline passenger to leave the road, the passenger went physical with the hostess by allegedly slapping her on the face, which the confrontation with the hostess apparently led to the alleged destruction of the plane divider cotton, which Ibom Airlines valued at $2,500, as stated in count 5 of the 5-count charges the police filed against the passenger at Ikeja Magistrate Court in Lagos State. We have reported that a careful study of the viral video involving the Ibom Airline personnel, Lagos Airport security operatives and an aggrieved passenger, Comfort Emanson, on board the airline plane on Sunday indicated that while the enraged passenger was being dragged off the plane by 3 men, who held her 2 hands and legs, suspending her a little bit on the air, a lady putting on Amer corporate clothes who was behind the camera lens could be seen in the video to have approached the passenger at the door point of the plane while the passenger was about to be taken out, apparently dipped her hand towards the waist part of the passenger, untucked the passenger shirt from the trousers, grabbed and pulled the passenger's shirt towards her head, and in the process, the passenger shirt got torn and the passenger's chest, sexual organs or private parts were completely exposed. The action of the IBOM airline staff appeared to be deliberate, as the airline female staff was not part of those dragging the passenger off the aircraft, and after the female passenger's body was exposed, the IBOM Airlines female staff never joined or assisted the security operatives to drag the passenger off the plane. This indicated that the motive of the female staff of IBOM Airline was solely to remove the passenger shirt and expose the aggrieved airline passenger to ridicule.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.
Nigeria Aviation Minister Festus Keyamo says the ministry has directed for the aviation staff who released the video footage containing the aspect of an IBOM Airlines passenger, Comfort Emanson or Bob, seen in an indecent appearance with her chest, sexual organs exposed after the passenger shirt was torn by an IBOM Airlines staff, while security operatives were seen in the viral video dragging the aggrieved passenger out of the aircraft following an act of confrontation between the passenger and IBOM Airlines hostesses, which one of the hostesses blocked the right of way of the passenger and prevented the passenger from disembarking from the plane. And after countless warning to the airline passenger to leave the road, the passenger went physical with the hostess by allegedly slapping her on the face, which the confrontation with the hostess apparently led to the alleged destruction of the plane divider cotton, which IBOM Airlines valued at $2,500 as stated in count 5 of the 5-count charges the police filed against the passenger at Ikeja Magistrate Court in Lagos State. The aviation minister, Festus Keyamo, who described the behavior of the passenger as unruly, said, although the airline staff is right to video record the event of the passenger's behavior for the purpose of legal action, but it is totally unacceptable for the staff to release part of the video that exposed the passenger's nakedness, especially her breasts. Details of the minister's statement reads verbatim below. Enough is enough. Reading the Riot Act on Aviation Safety and Security in reference to the case of unruly Comfort Bob on IBOM Airline and related incidents. Earlier today, we again woke up to viral videos of a female passenger on IBOM Airline, now identified as Comfort Emanson or Comfort Bob, who went berserk and physically assaulted both the flight crew and the ground staff. The incident took place yesterday, August 10, 2025 on IBOM Airline flight number Q153 from Uyo to Lagos at about 14:54 hours. IBOM Airline has since issued a statement to provide some context to the effect that the whole unfortunate incident arose because of the refusal of the passenger to switch off her phone during takeoff as required by extant international civil aviation regulations. Consequently, in the last few hours, I have been speaking with the Commissioner of Police of the Airport Police Command, the DG of the NCAA and his team, the MD of FAAN and her team, the COO of IBOM Air and his team about the incident. Apart from the indefinite flight ban imposed on the said unruly passenger, both local and international, by the Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, the police has promptly arraigned her this morning at the Ikeja Magistrates Court for criminal offences and remanded her at Kirikiri prisons as she could not provide adequate sureties in court. I have attached the charge sheet and remand order for clarity. We also note the scuffle that took place between the unruly passenger and ground personnel before she was eventually subdued. This was because of her uncooperative attitude. Whilst we support the filming of her recalcitrant behavior as evidence to prosecute her, what is deplorable is to release such evidence containing indecent exposure to the public to ridicule her. That is totally unacceptable to us. We will not fold our arms and tolerate the debasing of womanhood. I have therefore directed that whoever released that part of the video containing the indecent exposure amongst the staff should be singled out and adequately sanctioned. I have also directed that the airlines must continue to train and retrain their staff in public relations and how to deal with potentially explosive situations in order to defuse them promptly or nip them in the bud, except when it becomes inevitable. I have also directed a joint security meeting between relevant agencies next week for better coordination of security measures in situations like this or similar ones we witnessed recently. For genuinely aggrieved passengers, there are clearly laid down remedies to address grievances. The Consumer Protection Directorate of the NCAA has consistently advertised these remedies, and there is no point trying to take the laws into one's hands that may lead to dire consequences. We will continue to apply equal sanctions available to us in aviation on any such erring passengers, that is lengthy flight bans, and report the matters to other law enforcement agencies to do their bit within their powers. We have reported that a careful study of the viral video involving the IBOM airline personnel, Lagos airport security operatives and an aggrieved passenger, Comfort Emanson on board the airline plane on Sunday indicated that while the enraged passenger was being dragged off the plane by 3 men, who held her 2 hands and legs, suspending her a little bit on the air, a lady putting on IBOM Air corporate clothes who was behind the camera lens could be seen in the video to have approached the passenger at the door point of the plane while the passenger was about to be taken out, apparently dipped her hand towards the waist part of the passenger, untucked the passenger shirt from the trousers, grabbed and pulled the passenger's shirt towards her head, and in the process, the passenger shirt got tore and the passenger's chest, sexual organs or private parts were completely exposed. The action of the IBOM airline staff appeared to be deliberate, as the airline female staff was not part of those dragging the passenger off the aircraft, and after the female passenger's body was exposed, the IBOM airline's female staff never joined or assisted the security operatives to drag the passenger off the plane. This indicated that the motive of the female staff of IBOM airline was solely to remove the passenger shirt and expose the aggrieved airline passenger to ridicule.
Madam, I beg come on for make I pass. Everybody let me be here. Come on for make I pass. Now that's the wahala. I want to go out, and here hostess is standing on the way.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.
A careful study of the viral video involving the IBOM airline personnel, Lagos airport security operatives and an aggrieved passenger, Comfort Emanson on board the airline plane on Sunday indicated that while the enraged passenger was being dragged off the plane by 3 men, who held her 2 hands and legs, suspending her a little bit on the air, a lady putting on IBOM Air corporate clothes who was behind the camera lens could be seen in the video to have approached the passenger at the door point of the plane while the passenger was about to be taken out, apparently dipped her hand towards the waist part of the passenger, untucked the passenger shirt from the trousers, grabbed and pulled the passenger's shirt towards her head, and in the process, the passenger shirt got tore and the passenger's chest, sexual organs or private parts were completely exposed. The action of the IBOM airline staff appeared to be deliberate, as the airline female staff was not part of those dragging the passenger off the aircraft, and after the female passenger's body was exposed, the IBOM airline's female staff never joined or assisted the security operatives to drag the passenger off the plane. This indicated that the motive of the female staff of IBOM airline was solely to remove the passenger shirt and expose the aggrieved airline passenger to ridicule. The video of the passenger's partial nakedness, especially her 2 breasts completely exposed due to the apparent action of a yet-to-be arrested and prosecuted female staff of IBOM Airlines, has since gone viral, with some pornographic channels already updating their channels with the partial nakedness of the IBOM Airlines passenger. According to Punch newspaper, Comfort Emanson, the passenger accused of assaulting airline officials aboard an IBOM Air flight from Uyo to Lagos, has been charged in court and remanded in Kirikiri Correctional Center in Lagos. Tunde Mashood, Special Advisor on Media and Communications to the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Kayamo, San, confirmed the development in a post on his official X handle on Monday. The more reason the flying public should be more careful. The unruly passenger on the Uyo-Lagos bound Ibom Air, Miss Comfort Emanson, has been charged to court and she's now cooling off in Kirikiri, Moshood wrote. Ibom Air, in a press statement on Monday, said that Ibom Air confirms that on Sunday, August 10, 2025, an incident occurred on board our Uyo-Lagos flight involving a passenger, Comfort Emanson, whose conduct posed a serious threat to the safety of our crew, passengers, and aircraft. Shortly before takeoff from Uyo, Emanson was instructed in line with standard aviation safety procedures to switch off her mobile phone. She bluntly refused to comply until the pilot in command made an announcement, after which a fellow passenger seated beside her took the phone and switched it off. This action prompted a verbal tirade from Emanson. The situation was eventually calmed, and the flight departed as scheduled. Upon arrival in Lagos, Emanson waited for all other passengers to disembark and then proceeded to confront the purser who had earlier instructed her. She walked up to the unsuspecting purser, stepped on her, forcibly tore off her wig, removed her glasses and threw it to the floor, and used her footwear to assault her. She slapped her several times, and when the other cabin crew member tried to intervene, she slapped her too. She then attempted to forcibly remove a fire extinguisher to use as a weapon, an act that could have damaged and grounded the aircraft. By this time, the pilot in command had alerted airport security. Before security could arrive, the purser, as seen on the viral video on the internet, prevented the passenger from leaving the aircraft until security arrived. The arrival of Ibom Air security personnel did not deter the passenger as she attacked him as well, lashing out violently at both Ibom Air and FAAN security. She was then restrained and removed from the aircraft by force. Even after disembarking, she continued to assault both Ibom Air and FAAN security staff and even slapped the ground supervisor. The passenger was removed from the ramp and taken into custody by FAAN security and handed over to the Nigeria police force for further investigation. Ibom Air has since submitted a report on the incident to the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority and placed a travel restriction on Emanson, who will no longer be permitted to fly on any of our aircraft. Ibom Air reiterates its zero-tolerance policy towards any form of unruly or violent conduct that threatens the safety of passengers, crew, or equipment. Such behavior will be met with the strongest possible response.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.
Management of National Youth Service Corps under the leadership of Brigadier General Olukunle Nafiu has given reasons why a serving Nigeria Youth Corps member, Ashie Rita Agwemaye, was denied NYSC discharge certificate that could have enabled her exit the one-year mandatory program after she completed the one-year paramilitary service to her nation as a new graduate, and, according to a statement posted and made available by NYSC on Sunday, with no name of the authority responsible for the press statement written or mentioned in the statement, the NYSC said Corps member Rita Agwemaye's discharge certificate was withheld and her service year extended by 2 months following her alleged absence or failure to attend the April 2025 NYSC biometrics clearance at Etiosa Local Government Area Secretariat, and the month stated by NYSC was barely few days after the Corps member had cried out loud in the month of March 2025 over the apparent increasing high rates of hunger as a result of rising costs of living in Nigeria, and as such, she described the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as a terrible president. In a swift reaction to the reason given by NYSC, Rita Agwemaye's lawyer, Barrister Anibahe Efyang, while answering questions from Channel's television program presenters on Monday morning, said, the statement issued by the management of the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, on its decision to extend the service period, and withhold the certificate of national service of Corps member Ashie Rita Agwemaye alias Raye does not represent the truth of the matter, saying, on April 7, 2025, Rita was physically present at the local government secretariat for the head count and clearance, but the NYSC official at the local government level deliberately refused to attend to her, even after 6 hours waiting, during which she was asked to go back and queued up on the line repeatedly. The NYSC official still refused to attend to her, and thereafter, on April 11, 2025, the Corps member went to meet the NYSC official and begged her to allow her perform her April 2025 biometrics clearance. The NYSC female official refused and asked the Corps member to leave. This, Amnesty International said the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC must rescind its decision. The Amnesty International described as arbitrary and outrageous, saying, NYSC allegedly used bureaucratic tricks to extend the Corps member national service year over the government's unacceptable intolerance of dissenting voices, with former Nigeria Vice President, Atiku Abubakar describing the NYSC action as impunity, and as such cautioned the government against subjecting everything to politics. And on Monday morning, the former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, issued a statement and said, "In our country today, hunger and poverty are not just distant statistics, they are the harsh reality that millions of our people face daily." Recently, the United Nations stated that about 34 million Nigerians will face acute food insecurity, and about 63% of our population, which is about 133 million people, now live in multidimensional poverty. Inflation, even with the suppressed statistics, is nearly 30%, while unemployment and economic mismanagement have nearly wiped out our once vibrant middle class. Families who once lived stable lives are now slipping into poverty. Omiyele Sowore, the founder of Sahara Reporters News Media, said he was ready to stand beside the Corps member and escort her to collect her NYSC discharge certificate last week, but the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu prevented him by thus unlawfully detaining him at the police station. In quotes, Sowore said, "It is with deep sadness and renewed outrage that I address the ongoing injustice against Rita Agumaye, Raye. Nigeria's National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, has seized her discharge certificate because she criticized the Tinubu regime over economic hardships. I was fully prepared to stand beside her to help her receive her NYSC discharge certificate. However, the criminal Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu regime unlawfully detained me in Abuja this past week. This regime thrives on intimidation, repression, and silencing the youth. We had promised to fight for her justice, and that promise remains unbroken. We will not stop until we achieve victory, not just for Raye, but for every Nigerian denied their rights by an oppressive system. We must not forget that Raye's courage and uncompromising stance compelled the authorities to increase the monthly allowance for her colleagues to 77,000 nairas. This significant improvement was won through her sacrifice, and it is an injustice of the highest order that she continues to be denied what is rightfully hers upon completion of her service year. We will not abandon her. Her fight is our fight. The struggle continues until we win. We reject the NYSC's spurious position in its entirety. Youth Corps member Ashie Rita Agumaye Raye's case could not and should not be dismissed as a mere biometric clearance issue. This was not about paperwork. This was punishment in retaliation for her public criticism of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu's disastrous economic policies. Silencing dissent is not service to the nation. It is a service to tyranny. We stand with Raye. We will continue to fight against NYSC until the injustice is corrected. Revolutiono. NYSC in the press release had said that the NYSC management wishes to clarify misleading information circulating on social media regarding Corps member Ashie Rita Agumaye, state code number 24B 8325. Contrary to false claims that she was denied a Certificate of National Service, CNS, due to critical remarks about the government, this assertion is entirely unfounded and false in its entirety. Rita is among the 131 Corps members whose Certificates of National Service, CNS, were withheld for valid disciplinary reasons. Specifically, Rita's service year has been extended by 2 months for failing to attend the April 2025 biometrics clearance, a decision that aligns with the NYSC bylaws. It is important to note that this extension is a standard procedure and not unique to her case, and the principle of equal treatment was only applied in this case. The NYSC management thus urges the public to approach this matter with understanding, as extending service for non-compliance is a long-standing tradition within the NYSC and should not be politicized. The NYSC scheme remains committed to discharging its mandate, in line with the dictates of the Constitution. Nigeria is ours. Nigeria we serve. Former Nigeria Vice President, Atiku Abubakar said, "What manner of impunity is this? Everything should not be subjected to politics. I hope that Ashie Rita Agwemai's NYSC discharge certificate is not being withheld because she had the courage to complain about the economic hardship under the President Bola Tinubu-led administration. It is unacceptable that the young lady, who had served her country without queries, should not have received her National Youth Service Corps certificate 1 year after passing out. The appropriate authorities should take urgent steps to ensure that she gets her discharge certificate." Amnesty International in a press release said, "The National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, must rescind its arbitrary and outrageous decision to deny Rita Ashie, widely known as Raye, her NYSC discharge certificate upon completion of a year of national service. Using bureaucratic tricks to extend her national service shows unacceptable intolerance of dissenting voices. The flagrant decision to withhold her certificate may not be unconnected with her comments on social media on the widespread economic hardship as a result of President Bola Tinubu's economic policies. It is perfectly within her right to express discontent peacefully. Instead of punishing her by withholding her NYSC certificate for her opinions on rampant inflation, the authorities should prioritize addressing the country's escalating economic woes. The Nigerian authorities must stop responding with abuse of power and intimidation to individuals and groups who express dissenting opinions, in utter disregard for the Nigerian constitution and international law. Holding and voicing dissenting views is not a crime. In March, Rita Ashie faced threat to life and violence for her viral TikTok video criticizing President Bola Tinubu's government over unprecedented economic hardship that plunged millions of people into abject poverty. Since May 2023, series of economic policies introduced by Nigerian government have been undermining the ability of people on low incomes to secure their right to adequate standard of living. Millions of people in Nigeria are increasingly unable to meet the costs of education, food and healthcare. No one should be punished for expressing dissenting opinions. Authorities have obligation to uphold and respect the right to freedom of expression, without discrimination. Former Governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, in a detailed statement on Monday, said, "In our country today, hunger and poverty are not just distant statistics. They are the harsh reality that millions of our people face daily." Recently, the United Nations stated that about 34 million Nigerians will face acute food insecurity, and about 63% of our population, which is about 133 million people, now live in multidimensional poverty. Inflation, even with the suppressed statistics, is nearly 30%, while unemployment and economic mismanagement have nearly wiped out our once vibrant middle class. Families who once lived stable lives are now slipping into poverty. But this is not just ordinary. It is as a result of incompetent leadership without capacity and compassion, who are not interested in putting the Nigerian people first in their actions. Other nations have faced similar challenges and turned their fortunes around through disciplined leadership, sound economic policies, and a total commitment from the leaders to invest in human development and pulling their people out of poverty. A recent example is what is happening in Argentina. In Argentina, over 52% of its population lived in poverty by early 2024, according to the World Bank, with millions of Argentines unable to meet basic needs. Inflation was above 200%, and economic confidence had collapsed. Yet, within 2 years, through decisive action to cut waste in governance and prioritize economic stability, the newly inaugurated president was able to cut down the poverty rate to 38.1% from 52% in just 2 years, and extreme poverty fell to 8.2%, with inflation just around 2 to 3% monthly. As of 2025, the urban poverty had declined to 31.6%, lifting millions of people out of poverty. Investor confidence grew and the economy began to grow. The people now see real improvements in the daily lives. Both Argentina and the current Nigerian leadership assumed office in the same year, and this proves what I have always stated, that 2 years may not be enough to change a nation with a 100% turnaround, but it is more than enough to kickstart the transformation journey that will change the fortune of our dear country, with the people witnessing real and genuine change, but only if the leadership is honest, focused, and committed to the people. Nigeria can work. We can reduce hunger and restore dignity to Nigerians. But this will not happen while corruption and criminality dominate our governance. Our nation requires leaders who will put the people first, manage resources prudently, and stand firm in rejecting corrupt practices. Nigeria will work, but only if we, as leaders, commit to tackling corruption, cutting the cost of governance, and focusing on critical areas of development like education, healthcare, and lifting the people out of poverty, just as other nations have done with remarkable results. A new Nigeria is possible. We had reported that after the Nigeria-Biafra Civil War, the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, was established on May 22, 1973 to give the youths the opportunity to leave their parents and stay alone to contribute to the betterment of the West Africa country, Nigeria. Interestingly, a few days ago, one of the serving corpers, Ashie Rita Agwamaye, went to the market in Lagos State to buy foodstuffs, but she was shocked that the prices of foodstuffs in the month of March have again increased far more than they were previous months. Apparently faced with the heat of passion, Agwamaye took to social media to call on the youths to unite and defend the country from total economy collapse, saying it was her first time to leave her parents and start paying domestic bills alone, adding that the money she spends on transport is more than the monthly salary NYSC is paying her, begging the youths to stage a 30 days non-stop challenge protest to make the country president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, she described as a terrible person to be alive to his political and institutional responsibilities of making cost of living reasonably okay for people to afford, stressing that some Nigerians are pretending to still be rich whereas the bad economy has pushed them into poverty. This, Reno Omokri, former presidential spokesperson who have been living abroad since 2014, reacted and said that there is no country in the world where a paramilitary official like the Corps is permitted to criticize the government.
She didn't participate in.
Thank you for having me. I think this is a matter that Nigerians who have followed this case since March, when it started, closely would be able to make reasonable deductions. Now, let me start by saying that the statement issued by the management of the National Youth Service Corps yesterday is quite unfortunate. It betrays the very ideal behind the establishment of the NYSC. In their statement, they claim that Raye is being punished and penalized in compliance with the bylaws of the Corps, and that our service period has been extended for 2 months, and her certificate of national service withheld because she missed or was absent from the biometric clearance for the month of April. But the truth of the matter is that not only did Raye Rita Ogwamaye present herself for clearance in the month of April, specifically on the 7th of April, she also attended the CDS, which took place on the same date. Because if you are saying that a corps member did not undergo clearance for a particular month, one would want to know what was the reason for missing a clearance. They haven't said anything in that regard. And the simple reason is because what the NYSC has said publicly is completely false. This lady presented herself before LGI, the local government inspector of Etiosa local government, one Mrs. Veronica Abele. This is the same woman who not only ignored her, initially she claimed, oh, go and join the queue, go to the back. She complied, of course. It got to her turn again, she will send her to the back again. This lady spent 6 hours. Ryan spent 6 hours hoping, pleading, begging, almost prostrating to be cleared. She refused to clear. And guess what? She sees a clearance letter. Because if you are saying someone has not been cleared, for you to be cleared as a comment, but I also, many of us went through this scheme. For you to be cleared, you must have a clearance letter from your PPA. Without which, even the NYSC cannot clear you. That is even if you show up. I have core members who are serving in our firm. And every month I have to sign their clearance. To say that, look, these individuals have worked. They have reported at their PPA for the month under reference. Please attend to them. That is what happened. She went there with a clearance letter from her place of primary assignment. Mrs. Veronica Abele collected the clearance letter and then pretended as if she did not want to attend to her at that time, as I said. When she kept pleading, the woman now started verbally attacking her. She persisted. She then told her she was not going to clear her.
I did not get my NYC certificate.
Ask her to get out, that she would not attend to her. And Raya said, look, Madam, please, assuming I have done anything by the NYC bylaws, which is correct, I am supposed to face the court disciplinary committee.
It's been a long time I went to the gym and I just
that infuriated the woman the more. That who are you to even make a suggestion about what the bylaw says? I don't know how to leave. What was she supposed to do after 6 hours? This is after she has seen her clearance letter. She sent her away. On the 11th of April, Ryan went back to Mrs. Veronica Abele's office. This is few days after the date for CDA and clearance. Begged her, pleaded with her, please, claim me for the month of April. She said, no, I don't have a problem with you. Okay, but nothing can be done now. We have finished monthly clearance. This is 11th of April.
Did she bring all this to your notice at this time in April?
I'm a lawyer. I'm privy to these things I'm telling you. I'm privy to these things I'm telling you.
As far back as April?
Of course, and let me make it clear to you.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way. Bringing you the news in a more digital way.